I hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday up here in Canada. It is Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm wishing all my Canadians a fellow happy Thanksgiving. Lily, we're going to start off by giving Lily some breakfast sausage. For those who don't know, Lily is a good girl. Come here, Lil. Let's show. Lily here is our farm dog, but she's treated like a princess, and she gets a whole meat diet. We feed her whole meat, so we mix it up between chicken, pork, steak, fish. And she's a healthy, good-looking girl. So, here, Lily, you have at her. Here. Oh, you're smelling it. There you go. It's her prize. Lily, I'm going to put the rest down right here, okay? You enjoy. You enjoy. You enjoy that. I'm not going to take it away from you. You can have it. It's kind of a tricky thing when you tell your dog not to eat from the table, but then you give her human food. MK Knife Making and James, how you guys doing? You guys are having a fantastic day. We got a beautiful sunset kicking in here. It's duck hunting season and goose hunting season up here. So you guys probably can't quite see, but just off there are a pair of ducks in the bay. And give it another 2 weeks, and usually there's about 1,000 of them in here. I'm not even joking. Usually there are thousands of ducks. There's 2 right there, but they migrate through my bay here. And so if we give it a little bit of time, another week or 2, there will be thousands. I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Every day my back feels better. Saw the surgeon today, and he said we're healing pretty good. Next week we're going to start getting back to the gym. Just start light. I've still got 6 more weeks of healing, but we're going to get at it. And Kara says, hi friend, how are you? How is Gabby? Gabby's doing fantastic. She's in the back fields. I was just with her. And Shawnee says, leaving the garden property now. That's awesome, Shawnee. So Shawnee here has a YouTube channel. Go check her out. Shawnee, you have a separate property that you garden, so it's not your backyard. Feel free to tell us a little bit about it, but I know you sound like you're busy right now. Weston, how you doing? We got Lily right in behind us. Looks like a beaver just splashed down by the water. But Gabby's doing fantastic. We are actually getting 2 more heifers, 2 more female cows on the 20th. October 20th. So 10 days from now, we are getting 2 more cows to join Gabby. They are heifers, meaning they are females. They're 6 months old. They haven't had any babies before. And so Gabby's going to be the queen bee, and she'll show them the ropes. But we get those in 10 days. And James says, my left hand hurts. Did you do something specific, or is this like some lingering pain from a back injury? James, why does your left hand hurt? Kara says, that's exciting. Have any names yet? Yeah, so I think they currently have names. One of them is named Kit, K-I-T, and I forget the other one's name, but we're going to rename them. They come from a herd. And so normally herd cows, the farmer's not talking to them by name. They will name them. And fun fact, in the cattle community, depending on what year they are born, they will name them with the start of that letter. So cows born this year are named with a K, and so that's kind of how you keep track of them. And ones born next year will be like an L, and so you can tell, okay, if it's got a K, it's a year old, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can kind of figure out how old one of your herd cows is based on their name, and you'll put a tag in their ear, write their name on it. A small farm like this, we're not going to tag their ears like that. We're going to know who's who. When there's only 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, it's easy to keep track. But when you're at a farm where there's 100 of them, it's a little trickier. It's a little trickier. And James says, I am trying to figure it out. Is it like your hand is like a severe muscle cramp, or what's going on? And Shawnee says, correct, I drive 15 minutes to get to the property where I grow all of my gardens. That is fantastic. And Weston, I see you there, buddy. Thanks for stopping in and saying hello. Gabby's right behind me. I know you love seeing Lily. I got to get my head on straight. Lily is right behind me, and I know you like saying hi to her. So there she is. She is eating some sausage, and I pulled out some chicken breasts for tomorrow. So she's going to get some chicken breasts tomorrow. Lily, you inhaled those. So yeah, it is a Thanksgiving weekend. Hi, Lily. Do you want to go get your ball? Go get your ball. Go get your ball. Here, let's take a little walk, guys. Let's throw her ball. Poor Lily. She was home alone today. My wife and kids are on their way to their hometown to go visit her parents for Thanksgiving weekend. They actually should be having dinner right now. And I had to leave Lily alone all day. Poor girl. So we are just... Lily, come here, girl. Come here, Lil. Ready? Ready? Go get it. Oh boy, I'm not even showing her. Lily is not a very good retriever. She's gone. She's like, don't throw my ball. I'm never coming back. And James says, I have to tag my cattle. Yeah, Gabby isn't actually tagged. She's an illegal, but the other ones we're getting, because they're coming from a commercial farm, they are tagged. Kara says, you don't have the usual herd of goats behind you. They're in the field right now. We'll go see them. Shawnee says, some days I spend anywhere from 3 hours to 8 hours at the garden property making sure the jobs are getting done, especially during harvest time and when we are heavy into planting time. Nice. Do you have other people like working with you or for you doing the garden, or is this just one massive garden that you handle? And Kara says, I forget the Canada Thanksgiving is different than ours. Yes, because it's colder up here. Our harvest season is about a month sooner than yours, and so happy Thanksgiving, Canadians. Ashley says, can you donate me $100? Ashley, if I had $100, I would, but that's not quite how this works. James says, remember, I am a rancher. I know, James, I know. And your back is healing good still? You're still feeling good? And Chevy says, hey, boss, how you doing, Chevy? I hope you're doing well. BBC says, I used to have goats. Had to keep them separate because the male harassed the females night and night out. I have some goats. Let's go see my goats. I've got 9 of them right now. Some pygmies, some mini Nubians, one's a fainter, and 2 are full-size Alpine Toggenburgs. Come here, goats. Come on, goats. They're on the far end of the field, but when I call them, they're all gonna come running. Come say hi, goats. Oh boy, I'm holding the camera like a Jerry. Ah, there you go. Come on over, goats. Come say hi to me. Gabby's looking at me thinking they're getting treats. Lily's trying to herd them to me. And Shawnee says, it's over 3,000 square feet total of different garden spaces spread out over 2.5 acres. The property owner will help do the tractor work. I'm the only one that takes care of the planting and harvesting. Sounds like a lot of work, but I'm sure it's very rewarding. And Kara says, are you still having to take it easy with your back, or are you healing up pretty good? Let's spin us around so we can all see the goats and me. So I saw the surgeon today, and I saw the surgeon up here in Canada, social health care, and I'm in the remote north. You don't actually see a surgeon, you basically Zoom call your surgeon. But I had a phone call with him, and I'd gotten x-rays done a few days ago, and he said everything's looking good. Basically, my right leg still falls asleep and goes numb when I walk. He says, give it 18 months, and if it's not healed by then, it's probably permanent damage. But I am walking. It's not really slowing me down. I just need to, it's just annoying more than anything. But I can walk for multiple miles. It's fine. It doesn't cause me any pain. It just goes numb and falls asleep, but it doesn't hurt. So yeah, my back feels really good. And he basically told me, it's okay. I'm safe to start going back to the gym. Start off with using machines. Don't do any free weights with standing, because he said you're going to put too much pressure on your back. But if you're sitting, you can do most exercises. And to start getting back at it. I mean, we've been 6 weeks now of light duty, like no bending, lifting, twisting. So there's some atrophy there. And then we were like 3 weeks before the surgery. So I'm flabby. The nice lean muscles that I had built pre-surgery are gone. So we need to get back at it, get the strength back up, and continue healing. And just, again, I got to take it easy, but no ego lifting. I'm not going to set any personal records, but we're going to get back to the gym and start feeling good again. Isn't that right, goats? Are you good? Evie's eating a tree. Evie's just chilling, eating a tree. Hey, Evie. Oreo is super pregnant, and I'm expecting Oreo to have her babies any day now. I was expecting them around the 12th, so we'll see how close I am. It's the 10th right now, but Oreo, she's starting to really show signs of that baby coming soon. She's staying further away from the other goats, so she's way over there, which is kind of telling me that she's not as comfortable. She doesn't want to be bumped into. She doesn't want to be headbutt or anything. She's keeping her distance. It's kind of looking like maybe her, I don't want to say her milk is coming in yet, but her sack is starting to look a little more full. So I just need to pay attention for the signs, any swelling or anything around her area. But I'm expecting some babies soon. So what I've been doing is I've been tucking her away. So the main goats go in the main barn, but I've been tucking her away in this area for the nights. And that way, if she has her babies, she's got some privacy. She's got no one else there to bug her. And the cow, Gabby, who's way out in the field over there, Gabby can't accidentally squish any babies. So hopefully we have those babies anytime now. And Kara's saying, I was getting ready to ask if the mama was ready to give birth like yesterday. She's very close. She's very close. I honestly think within a week we should have twins or triplets. She's carrying at least 2. Miguel says, beautiful land. What state or province? We are up here in northern Canada, and it is Thanksgiving weekend up here in Canada. We do things a little bit different. Hey, Bast. Sorry, my poor Bast over here, I ignored him. He was rubbing up against my leg wanting some head pats. And of course, Faye over here come to say hi. Hi, Faye. Giving you some ear scratches. And State Burrito says, wow, cowboy. You a real cowboy? Do you have any guns? Yes, I've got some guns. I've got 4 different guns. I've got a 12 gauge shotgun, a 410 shotgun, a 22 rifle, and a 300 Savage, which is kind of like a 30-06, but it's a 300. But yeah, normally I hunt on the land in the fall here. Normally I'm hunting for deer or geese. I had back surgery 6 weeks ago, and so we're not doing any hunting this year, but out in the backfield, way back over there, way back in the backfield, I actually did, I had someone come over, one of my buddies, and he used my riding lawnmower, and he cut down a big section of grass back there, and I set some decoys down and set up my trail cam. And so he's going to be hunting that property next week, that back section of my property, hoping to get some geese. Oh, hello, Faye. Faye just wants the face scratches right now. She's just coming in and saying hello, guys. And Miguel says, Northern Canada, really nice. I went to Halifax recently, beautiful country. Been thinking of going to Alberta soon. It's all really, really nice. I mean, Alberta, as you get closer to BC, is full of mountains, really, really nice. I've honestly never been out towards either of the coasts. I've never been out to BC, and I've never been out to Halifax. I am up here in the far north in Ontario, and my goats are all just picking on me right now in a nice way, but they all want head scratches and attention. She was just chewing on my jacket. This is Noe. And now we got Faye chewing on my jacket. What are you guys doing? Stop trying to eat me. Stop trying to eat me, girl. I'm gonna get eaten by the goats. So it is our Thanksgiving weekend. I am home alone for the weekend. My wife and kids, they went for a long journey to go to her parents' house. So they are gone for the weekend. And I'm out here just watching the farm, taking care of the animals, making sure that everyone stays safe and sound and happy for the weekend. And yeah, I think we're going to be live streaming. I'll live stream here tonight for another hour. Maybe I'll bring you guys into the house and live stream longer. We got about a half hour of sun. So that's about as long as we'll stay out here until it gets too dark. Then tomorrow, I'll live stream in the morning for a little bit and again in the evening. During the day, I'm probably going to work on a couple projects for some long form videos. And then on Sunday, much of the same. And same with Monday. Monday, I plan to live stream in the morning. My wife and kids should be back in the afternoon. But we plan to be online quite a bit this weekend. And James says, I strongly dislike my wife's goats. I really like them. They're arguably less trouble than the dog. Lily the other day, a squirrel went into the wheel well, the fender of my car. She started chewing on the wheel well. Put some scratches in the back fender. So not impressed with my dog, but the goats are chill. They're easy. They just, you know, they just like to hang out. They just want to be close to you. They just want to chill. They're a lot like dogs. They come when you call them. They like head scratches. They just like being close to you. Generally, they're a little bit less needy than a dog, although right now they're being really needy. They're really liking the attention. I like my dog, don't get me wrong, but the goats are lovely too. And Miguel says, well, from the country living in California to the beautiful country living in Canada, I say hello. Well, hello, Miguel. I hope you are having a fantastic Friday. Out in California, so you're a couple hours later than me. So what are you at? You're probably around 8, 9 o'clock. Bryson says, hey, how you doing, Bryson? We are just chilling on the farm. We got the goats all around us. Some of them are trying to eat the tripod, so I got to keep a hand on it. These guys are chomping down. Don't fight right in front of me, guys. If you guys are gonna, these two tend to combat for alpha, so they tend to fight a little bit to figure out who's gonna get my attention. This is Mimi. This one's Mimi, and the other big one here is Faye. And Faye's the biggest. She's a full-size goat. She's an Alpine Toggenburg. Let's try to keep the field in the back because it's such a pretty sunset. And Miguel says 4:41 p.m. Oh, I guess it's the other way. I did the math completely backwards. And Bryson says, oh, nice. And GC on Roblox, or CG on Roblox says, it's 1 in the morning for me. Where are you, friend? You're obviously over in India? 1 in the morning? Bryson says, I love animals. James says, 7:45 my time. Bryson says, I'm in Houston, Texas. Miguel says, I thought it was like 8:44 p.m. in Canada. It's 6:45 where I am. And CG says, I am in the UK. Nice, nice. My one goat way back here, Oreo, is very much so pregnant, and she's due any day now. So, you know, we'll see when it happens, but soon we will have some live streams and some videos about some baby goats. In fact, Bast here is her last baby. This is Basty boy. Hi, Bast. Your mama's pregnant. She's gonna have more babies soon. She's gonna have more babies soon, big guy. Oh, they're very needy right now, eh, buddy? Bast is a little stud. He's what you'd call a wether. I castrated him, so thankfully he still likes me. He's not mad at me. He forgives me. Isn't that right, buddy? He's got this really cool tuft of hair on his forehead. It's very unique for him. And Captain says, Bryson, where in Houston? I'm from Sugarland. It is a small world. You guys are probably neighbors. Miguel says, soon you'll have a batch of kids, goat kids. Yes, more than I already have. More than I already have. This guy is just chewing at my leg. Oh. Hey, big guy. As long as he doesn't start headbutting my kneecaps, we'll be okay. Isn't that right, big guy? Isn't that right, big guy? Like I said, the goats are a lot like puppies. They're a lot like dogs. And James, Bryson said, in Baytown, and James said, me and my grandson and a few cowboys are going to fix the fence line. Nice, nice. I've been really lucky. I haven't had too many issues with the fencing. I had a couple trees down on the backside, but used the skid steer and took care of that. They didn't do too much damage to the fence. Just had to more or less get them off the fence and straighten it out. We got a couple chickens chilling right in front of us. Let's just say hello to the chickens. Picking at some fresh fruit or vegetables, I should say. And CG says, what's the worst injury you've gotten while looking after them? Honestly, I haven't been injured too bad. My one goat got me with her horn right in the ribs. My fault. It was the first time I was trimming her hooves. So you got to trim their hooves fairly often. It was the first time she had been getting it done on this farm. I think the first time ever, to be honest. And yeah, she got a little overwhelmed and she gave me a good get out of here. Put a pretty decent bruise in the ribs. But I used to have a bull, and this is the worst probably. I'm gonna give you 2 more. The only 3 injuries I've had on the farm. So one, I got hit by her, which was no big deal, just a bruised rib. Then I had a bull, and he got a little bit aggressive on me. And one day he ran me from the field and threw me about 5 feet. He slammed right into me, threw me about 5 feet, turned around and tried to run me over and stomp me. But I managed to get out of here. And then he's in the freezer now. And then the only other time, Gabby girl, which is my cow, which is way back there, just right there. Gabby got spooked by a coyote one time, and she bucked and kicked me in the back of the leg, and that was a gnarly bruise. Deer Guy says, do you hunt? If you do, what's your biggest deer? My biggest buck is probably, I think it was a 6-pointer. No monsters. Last year I got a small little like 4-pointer. Right in this back field, actually. It was a really fun hunt. There was a buck and a doe. I called them in from 270 yards over to my feed pile at 75 yards. And then they were super responsive to my call, so I kept calling them, and they came right in front of me, maybe 30 yards. The ducks are getting rowdy. They came maybe 30 yards in front of me, and it was just a little 4-pointer and Mama. And I actually took Mama down first, thinking he was going to run because he was the smaller of the two. And then he didn't run. He just kind of tucked his head down, and so I just reloaded and took the second one. So it was a fun hunt right in that backfield. I actually have the backfield set up right now with geese decoys because I'm going to have one of my buddies come down to hunt some geese next weekend. So I got the area kind of laid out, and we'll see what we get. And Hester says, did you get your donkeys yet? Hester, we are now getting our donkeys November 1st. The initial person who was going to haul them... Goat's knocking the camera over. Oh boy. We're showing hanky-panky on the camera. Evie, you're going to get me in trouble. Some goats doing goat stuff. Anyway, I was supposed to get the donkeys next week. However, the person who was going to haul them no longer is able, so I had to get a commercial hauler to go get them. And so they're not going to come till November 1st. However, in 10 days, on the 20th, we're getting 2 more heifers, 2 more cows. So the homestead is growing. And Yasin says, your farm is so great, so big. Thank you. Bryson says, I like your idea/area. Think Jetta says, I will get merry. Oh boy. All the goats are getting a little bit rambunctious here. I think it's the cold weather starting to get them excited. Stay off camera, big guy. My male goat is trying to impregnate a pregnant goat. And James says, Cowboy Park in front of the delete the fence. Feel to tell my bull story. James is saying feel free to tell my bull story. James here is a cattle farmer, and he got slammed. Did you get stomped as well, or just slammed by your bull and broke your back? And his grandson ended up shooting the bull. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize how dangerous cattle can be. Even a female, even a cow can get really aggressive. Some cows will go crazy when they have their baby. They just get super protective and will charge you down the field. You got to think, a female cow can get up to around 1,300 pounds. A male, 1,600 to 2,000. That's a truck slamming you. And then they have the ability to step on you or stomp. And CG says, what's your favorite anime? And Bryson said, well, I'm a scroll, but sub and like. Well, thank you, Bryson. CG, my favorite anime. It depends when you ask me. I would say I really enjoyed the Berserk anime, the original though. I've never seen the new one, but Berserk, it's pretty hardcore, pretty crazy. I actually really enjoyed Solo Leveling. I haven't watched the anime. Out here on the farm, I don't get a lot of time to watch shows. I'm pretty busy. But when I was laid up in the hospital at one point, I did read the manga for Solo Leveling, and it was fantastic. So I assume the anime was pretty good too. And Matthew is in the chat. Hey, Matthew, how you doing, buddy? My male goat here is just frisking up the city. And James said I was slammed by my bull. Yeah, I was lucky when my bull hit me. I saw it coming and I was able to kind of brace for it. And so I flew about 4 or 5 feet and hit the ground, but it was winter. There was snow on the ground. It wasn't hard packed. So the impact didn't really hurt. I was just lucky that I was able to get out of the way before he circled back on me. He tried 3 times. So if he would have just ran and hit me and then buggered off, we would have been cool. It would have been fine. But, and X says, when is mating season? So it's a good point, my friend. Mating season for goats would normally be right now, but we're about to birth some goats. We're about to have some baby goats. And so I'm going to leave the goats. We're going to go into the house because it's starting to get dark out here. Normally you would want to mate your goats around now, end of October. They have a 5.5 month gestation period, and so that would get you a spring baby. However, we let our goats breed in the spring, and so we're having babies right around now. I expect Oreo to give me some babies any day now. And so probably because of that, they're a little extra frisky because they're all, I don't even want to say that they're in heat, but the male is being frisky. The females, because they're pregnant, they're not in heat. And Tannerim says, are you a cowboy? I have a cow and I am a boy, so I'm going to call myself a cowboy. We're going to, sorry, the camera's getting all jittery because I'm going to walk in the house. We're going to come hang out in the house for a little bit because it's getting dark out there. We are going to be streaming throughout the weekend. I am home alone. My wife and kids are gone to see family. But because we're home alone, we're going to spend some extra time streaming. However, we got to make sure our light quality and stuff is good, and it is terrible out there right now. So we're going to hang out in the house, grab a coffee, maybe some tea. Poverty Hill Adventures Brian says, hello from Poverty Hill. Hope all is well with everyone. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Guys, go check out Poverty Hill Adventures if you want some really wholesome content. If you guys just if you like the wholesome nature of this channel, you're going to really like the wholesome nature of Poverty Hill. Go check out Poverty Hill. And Tannerim says, yeehaw, nice. And Matthew's given the cowboy emoji, I think. The lighting is terrible. Let's turn some lights on. We're going to make some tea. I'm going to tell you guys a really funny story, but a silly story. I had a moment where I let my intrusive thoughts win. And Ustinov, are you from Ku Klux? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's about all I'm going to address on that one. Okay, this plant above my head here. This plant is called a pothos plant or pothos plant. And I was having a moment. I was standing here like this last night, and one of these leaves was hanging right in front of my face. And I was talking to my kids, and I let my intrusive thoughts win. I had a moment where I just wasn't thinking. I stared my kid straight in the eyes and said, I'm a giraffe. And I ate a leaf. And my wife looked over at me and she said, what are you doing? As I proceeded to chew and swallow. Fun fact, the pothos plant is poisonous. And so I proceeded to have a very fun time. I do not recommend eating the pothos plant. The internet said call poison control, but I'm a man, so that wasn't going to happen. And so I just ate some food, figured it'll digest, and my stomach was screaming. I wasn't sore. There was no pain, but my stomach was just growling at me. Maybe other areas were growling too, and my wife was telling me I was sleeping on the couch, but things settled down and we managed to go to bed. But do not eat the pothos plant, guys. It is poisonous and not a fun experience. And Tannerim says, turns out you are not a giraffe. Yasin says, freedom for all the world. And Patrick says, hi, 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 hi. Hey, Patrick, how you doing? Tannerim says, glad you're okay. James says, my wife has one of those plants. Andrew says, it's the lead actor from Brokeback Mountain. My hair is actually not even too crazy today. I could take the hat off, but like the hat is the vibe. And Matthew gave you the time out for that spam. Ain't nobody got time for that, Patrick. Holly says, I had a major singing audition today and the judges laughed at me. Said my mouth is far, far too big when I sing and it's like a cave. They rejected me. I am so upset. Holly, I hope that's a story and I hope it's not true. I'm sure your singing is amazing. And if it's not, the beautiful thing about the voice is it's an instrument that you can train, you can get better, you can improve. You've got this. If you believe in singing and you want to be a singer, just keep practicing. You've got this. Also, maybe the judges have their kid in it, and if you would have got in, their kid wouldn't have got in, and so they were biased. So you can't trust the judges. Just keep at her. Daniel says, good evening, bud. How you doing, Daniel? Sorry, I think you said a message that I missed earlier. Daniel said, hey, buddy, how are you? Good evening. Good evening, Daniel. We're doing pretty good, man. And Tannerum says, which state, east or west coast or no coast? We are in northern Canada. We are actually in Canada. And Daniel says, peace. Peace in the world for a while, hopefully. Angel says, in New York, we call that plant a wandering Jew. The pothos plant? Really? Holly says, sadly, it's true. I traveled to London for an audition today. Well, Holly, just keep at it. Just keep at it. Matthew says, I was away for a second, so I catch up and was late to his spamming. It's all good, man. You caught it pretty quick. Tanner M says, where in Canada? Or where is Canada? Canada is north of the United States. Donald Trump likes to joke that we are going to be the 51st state, where we are right above the United States. No Ego sending some love in the chat. And Poteen, I got what emoji is that? Is that a dog? Poteen's throwing the dogs in the chat. Oof, oof, oof. Let's get ourselves some tea. We already have water in the kettle. So I was telling you guys how yesterday I ate a pothos plant and gave myself poisoning, so that was fun. Don't do that. I also caught a mouse, and I actually got the video footage because it was right in front of me. I live on a farm, for those who don't know, those who are just joining. I've got a homestead here, and I've got cows and goats and all that. And so there's going to be mice. We got fields. It's that time of year. Up here in Canada, it's starting to get really cold, and so the mice will sneak into the house where it's nice and warm. And so I saw this mouse run past me, and so I set a trap right by the fridge, and I got a video of it going on the trap. Now, I'm probably going to stage this in a way to demonstrate this trap. I actually put my finger right in it to show. Although the trap says don't put your hand in it because you can lose a finger, it's not that strong. You're not going to lose a finger. Still have all my fingers. But I'm going to do a demonstration video. I'm not going to show the mouse actually getting, because that just doesn't seem right. But I do want to demonstrate how effective these traps are. So just so people can see. So that was another fun, exciting time last night. Darlene says, hi, how you doing, Darlene? I hope you are having a fantastic start to your Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. Darlene says, love watching you. Your life is so cool. Thank you, Darlene. And Lil says, had a barn cat my entire life, maybe 2 mice a year max in the house. Most people around here who have farms do have barn cats. I'm allergic to cats. And so for me, it's like, I'd rather just deal with them than to deal with the cat. I don't even want to say one day because I really don't want a cat. The other problem with cats, there's 2 more problems. One, we breed rabbits. We breed rabbits and we let the rabbits in a colony area that a cat could get into if it really wanted to. I had a friend who had a barn cat and was trying to breed rabbits and became very unsuccessful at breeding rabbits because the cat was very good at unaliving rabbits. And so that's another issue. The other issue is we've got a lot of ground nesting birds and small birds that will lay their nests in my farm fields. And cats are notoriously good hunters. So if we get a barn cat, it's not just eating mice, it's eating all the baby birds. And I really like the baby birds. So for me, I'm not going to get a barn cat. Pablo in the house. Hello from Chile. Hola, Pablo. How are you doing, my friend? Pablo's been checking out some of our long form videos and watching them in Espanol. There's a cool feature out on YouTube now where you can actually watch YouTube videos with a translator language. So not only is it closed caption, but you can have audio in your own language. It's really cool. I was playing around with that the other day. Lil says, Tanaram says, does Canada actually have cowboys too? You bet. We've got a lot of farms. I have 1 cow right now. I'm getting 2 more cows, so I'll be back up to 3 cows. And I'm also getting 2 donkeys. I don't have a horse, but I am going to halter train my donkeys. And we will definitely get some saddles for them once we halter train them. And Lil says, yeah, my cats would also catch rabbits. So that's very fair. And Deez says, Alberta is like Texas, beef and oil. Exactly. We are not that different. Tannerum says, that actually ain't a cool feature, in my opinion. I got sidetracked, Tanaram. Which feature is not a cool feature? Daniel says, no more bulls right now. No more bulls, right? I don't plan to get run over again right now. I'm getting 2 heifers, so I'm going to have 3 female cows. Gabby is pregnant right now, and she'll be having her baby next spring. So I ran the math. We're either going to have a baby cow December 20th to January 10th. The auto translation is a little meh. It's true. It's not as good as it could be, but it is still cool. It's better than nothing. Now, Gabby was with a bull in that March 13th to the end of March. My bull was with her, and he could have gotten her pregnant somewhere in that range because they were together. We were planning to breed them, but then he started attacking me and trying to unalive me, and so I ate him. If she went into heat during that time and was successfully bred, we will have a baby between December 20th and January 10th. It's not a very good time. That's a terrible time. Up here in Canada, it's too cold. So during that window, I'm going to put her in the barn and bring some hay into the barn for her and keep her there for that 2 weeks. If she doesn't have the baby, then she's going to have the baby in the spring. We bred her with a neighbor's bull in the summer, but we weren't sure if she was already bred. So if she was already bred, we'll have the baby in December, January. If she wasn't, then it'll be March, April. So we're going to pay attention and watch for that. Now, what I was going to say is, if she ends up having a male, is that ready? Yep. If she ends up having a male cow, I might keep that one around and use it to breed the other 2 the following year. So we'll just see. If she ends up having a male, we might keep it. But then what I'll probably do is use it to breed and then butcher it. I don't want to keep a male on the property for now, but we might use it, then butcher it. And Zion says, what do you think about the Austrian painter? I don't know anything about an Austrian painter. James says, I know the mousetrap you talk about. I stick a 30-06 around in the trap, and setting off the bullet, no one got hurt. That trap set off a bullet. That's wild. Tanaram says, what is your content, your main channel content? So the channel is called My Wildlife Homesteading. And most of our content focuses around homesteading. Some of my long forms focus around foraging. So I spend a lot of time in the forest. I live on a 156 acre peninsula, meaning the water goes all the way around. It's 156 acres. I've got about 30 acres of farm fields. The rest is forest. So we spend a lot of time in the forest and a lot of time with the animals. Right now up here in Canada, it's getting dark pretty quick. And so we can only stream with the animals during the day, during the evening. Probably going to do more like this, a little bit of a hangout chat. Tomorrow morning, I'll go out and take care of the animals and do some streaming with them. And then during the day, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out in the forest and see if I can find some cool critter. I'm hoping to find either some sort of mink or marten, maybe a bear. So we'll go hunting in the forest, see if we can find a bear, some deer, anything in the forest that's exciting. And I'll base a long form video, think Coyote Peterson style, around that. Next year, I really want to go big into some long form content. Obviously, I'm going to keep doing the live streams because I love doing the live streams. I love hanging out with you guys. Welcome back, Bryson. And I plan to do some more long form videos. What I want to do with those is some like modern day survival skills type videos. And what I mean by that is, if we ever hit an apocalypse situation, you're not going to have nothing. You're not going to be just sticks and stones. But if there was a solar flare, a nuke, just to shut down a society, the world's pretty sketchy. You're still going to have access to some stuff. So today I got 2 brake drums from a tractor trailer unit. And next year, I'm going to convert those brake drums into a brake drum forge so that I can heat up and use that for heating up metal and reshaping iron and melting aluminum and making stuff with that. I'm going to make homemade charcoal out of some birch trees. And so I plan to do some content around that. I want to make custom arrowheads. And so it'll be a mix of like scrap metal that you can find lying around and kind of homemade goodies. Things like what kind of things could you start a fire with? Can you start a fire with a shard of glass? Can you do it with a truck mirror? Can you do it with a headlight? Can you polish some metal shiny enough to reflect light enough, maybe bend it to get that convex concentration to start a fire with that? So kind of some survival stuff using modern equipment. Does that make sense? And so that's kind of the challenge. And AUH Zoxy said Jesus is Lord. Molly says golly, and Ibrahim says, hey buddy, hey Ibrahim, how you doing? Molly says, sounds like y'all got a nice place there. Tanaram says, is that allowed to hunt a bear? I can hunt a bear up here in Canada. I can't hunt one on live stream, but I can do it off live stream. Matt says, did those comments like AUH comment bother you, Justin? No, I'm okay with people saying religious stuff. I just don't want to get into like religious politics. I'm a Christian as well, and I don't even mind if people talk about any other religion. As long as people aren't being disrespectful, religion's cool. James says, I done the control burn for the 2 fields. Nice. Everything went smooth? Daniel says, you should do more like camping and hiking videos and survival. And MM says, I don't think it's allowed. Daniel says, yes, exactly. You beat me to it. Ibrahim says, can you start a series for basic survival? And Sydney says, hi. Poverty says, your ideas for future content sound interesting. Sydney says, what do you think of the UK, my guy? I don't have much thoughts towards the UK. I'm up here in Northern Canada. I live off grid, just kind of doing my own thing. Samad says, wave your hand for me, bro. How you doing, buddy? James says, yep. So the survival content. I personally don't think there's as much value in doing like how to start a video with flint and steel, because if you don't have flint, it's not going to be very useful. But I do think there might be some value to using, you know, some natural oils to polish some aluminum, and then maybe try to reflect the light to start a fire. Things like that. Tricks to help starting a fire, different materials, natural waxes and greases. So I do want to do some stuff around that. Next year, it's going to be a big year on production videos. Of course, I still plan to do the live stream. So one of the things I want to do is when I build and set up the, when I start the brake drum forge and I start forging metal, I'll probably run 2 cameras. One camera will just be collecting the B-roll for the long form video. But then during that process, I'll probably just be live streaming with you guys. So while I'm heating up the steel, while I'm shaping it, while I'm, you know, hammering it and doing all that fun stuff, I'll just live stream during that. And then I can take the footage and still make a long form video. So it's kind of my thought, that's kind of my plan, is that we can, a lot of these projects, what you normally don't see on someone who just produces long form videos is all those behind the scenes, what's working, what's not working. Whereas if I'm live streaming while making the long form video, you kind of get the bigger picture of how long these things take and what actually goes into it and the areas where you have to troubleshoot and, you know, just what works and what doesn't work. And you can still have a good social time. So it'll be more fun for me, more fun for you guys. And Happy Chicken says, good afternoon. How you doing, Happy? I hope you're having a fantastic day. And Tanaram says, you must save a lot of money homesteading. I'm going to be honest with you, Tanaram. Homesteading at this stage, when you're just getting your feet under you, is very expensive. It's going to cost me almost $12,000 this month to get the 2 cows and the 2 donkeys and get them hauled here. That's going to take like 3 to 4 years to pay that back by selling off their offspring if we're successful on breeding them. So it's a journey, my friend. All of my meat comes off the homestead and all of my dairy and eggs come off the homestead. So I save some money on the food, but it costs a lot to get there. Costs a lot to save money. And Matthew says, for overnight survival videos, check Corporal Corner on YouTube. I will keep that in mind. One of the hard things is I've thought about doing the overnight survival, the overnight tenting in the winter, building like a snow fortress in the backyard, which I'm probably going to do for sure. I'm going to do that. And maybe I can do an overnighter in there. The tricky thing is I do have 5 kids. And so when my kids need my attention in the middle of the night, I want to be able to be there and take care of them. But there's going to be the odd time where I'm home alone, like this weekend. This weekend, if my back wasn't still healing, we would do a tenting in the back fields or in the forest video. We would definitely do it, but I need to heal first. And James says, I use an oil barrel to refit metal. And Weston's back in the chat saying, hey, how y'all doing? Happy says, homesteading, it is very expensive, but it is fun. Hi, Daniel. And Weston says, hi. Tanner M says, how young are you? 5 kids? You look pretty young. I'm 33. I have an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old, newborn, 6-month. So they're all 2 years apart. So they were all intentionally spread out with love and care. But we do have a lovely big family. It's gonna make homesteading a lot easier. It already does. My kids get up first thing in the morning. They love going out and letting the chickens and the ducks out, collecting the eggs. And so the kids are already super helpful. I heat my house exclusively with firewood. And so just having the kids around helping me split wood and stack it, just being with me in all these adventures. It's very rewarding. It's very fun. I think I'm going to do a tea tonight instead of a coffee. Let's grab tea. Let's just go with a random one here. We are going to drink, oh boy, turmeric chamomile. It's a turmeric chamomile super blend, caffeine free. And Hester says, how is your back feeling? I actually saw the surgeon today. Obama, I'm going to hide that comment because that sounds racist. So I'm going to ignore it. Hester says, how is your back healing? My back is feeling fantastic. I'm a little stiff because it's the end of the day, but the surgery went really, really well. I saw my surgeon today and basically he said, I'm going to feel a little sore and stiff right now just by default because we've had about 8-9 weeks of kind of atrophy where we've been on kind of really light duty and do nothing. And so he gave me permission to start going back to the gym. So starting Tuesday, we're going to start going back to the gym. He just said, don't try to be a hero. Don't try to set any personal records. You know, don't go back to bench press and expecting to lift heavy. He said, just take it really easy. He said, really don't do any free weights. He said, use machines where you can get a good foundation. So ones, like on a lat pull down. So there's a cable machine where you grab the bar and you pull it down behind your head or in front of your chest. He said, just make sure that you're in a sitting position, you're feeling well stable, and just don't go heavy. Not at first. I still got 6 more weeks of soft tissue healing. So I got to take it easy. And Tanner M says, do you keep the cowboy hat also on in the house? Normally, no, but we're live streaming, baby. We're live streaming. So normally the cowboy hat is not on in the house because it kind of takes up too much space. But it kind of helps give you guys an idea of what we're talking about. So it's just a good tool for the live stream. And we don't always live stream with it. And often on our long form videos, we're not wearing the hat, especially when we're looking this dapper. But the hat's staying on right now because why not? And Golden Arrow says, howdy, brother. How you doing, Golden? I hope you're doing fantastic. I hope you're having a great Friday. James says, my son drove my semi-truck to transport my cattle. Yeah, you were saying that. You got him a transport and then he does all the hauling. That's awesome. Matthew says, it's not supposed to be forbidden to heat with firewood in Canada, at least in the province of Quebec. You know what? The government isn't a fan of it. But here's the thing. We have forest fires all the time. And those forest fires put out way more emissions than I ever could in my entire life. So it's really not that bad. Plus, it's reusable. So the alternative to heating with firewood is up here is diesel, gas, or back to diesel because I'm off grid. I don't have electricity. So if I'm running electric heat, I'm really running diesel heat. So what's better? Using a wood stove to heat your house or diesel or propane or natural gas if you're lucky? Daniel says, I also have 4 kids, happy chickens, and I'm only 32. And Happy had said, Justin, you and your wife are a very young couple. I have 4 kids, soon to be 41 years old. We are in the prime of our life, in our early 30s. I've felt like I've been 40, 50, 60, depending on my back in the day, but we're feeling better now. And Lori says, hi, Lori, how are you doing? Tanner M says, is hunting also part of homesteading? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, but it is a big part of remote living. So when you live way up north like I do, I was a hunter well before I was ever a homesteader. I grew up hunting. You know, you learn sustainable hunting practices, you follow conservation, you follow the law. It's a very humane way to collect your food. If you do it right, you do it safe. And so, yeah, we're normally hunting all the time. I can't hunt this year because of my spinal surgery. I ended up having spinal surgery 6 weeks ago, so we're still healing, and I don't want to overdo it. Holding a gun and shooting a deer is not that hard. Sitting in a tree stand for 6 hours would be brutal on my back, and then dragging that deer out of the bush and then hanging it in a tree and butchering it, I just can't do it right now, so I'm not even going to try. We'll let the deer repopulate for another year. And Aiden says hi. How you doing, Aiden? James says fun of adult kids. Full of adult kids? Happy says hi to your daughter, Daniel. Daniel had said, Justin, my daughter wants a shout out. Her name is Nayeli. Am I saying that right? How you doing, Nayeli? Nayeli is a very unique and beautiful name. Jessie Lee says, I am getting my degree in construction and road work. I might go for plumbing. What do you think? I actually used to be a civil engineer, Jesse. I used to be a junior engineer, and that's exactly what I did, was highway construction mostly. That's mostly what I did. And I was a contract administrator, meaning I would go onto the job sites where they were building new roads, go over the plans with the surveyors, make sure that they laid it out right, made sure that they stayed within their limits, that they dug to the correct depths, they got to the right compaction level, and that they followed all of the construction standards and engineering designs. Helped problem solve on the job site. So I did a lot of that work, and it can be very boring, but also rewarding, if that makes sense. There is a lot of sitting around waiting when you're an inspector or auditor. Yeah. And you might go for plumbing. So I think plumbing is a fantastic career choice, in my opinion. It's not necessarily that difficult. It can be hard on the body a little bit, especially if you're doing new construction plumbing, very easy. But if you are doing like repairs under the sink, you know, crawling into 7-foot trenches, trying to lay pipe, it can be difficult. It can be difficult. Generally, though, once you become a fully licensed plumber, you can have an apprentice, and your apprentice can do a lot of the stuff you no longer want to. I personally, so we homeschool our 5 kids. My wife was a nurse. I was a junior engineer. We are in the opinion that it's best to push our kids towards the trades. With the advancements in artificial intelligence, with the advancements in AI, I think a lot of the intellectual jobs are just going to become mostly obsolete. You're going to need auditors to make sure the AI is not, you know, hallucinating, but I'm sure by then it's going to be way, way, way better. But you're still going to need the physical people to go build the walls, to go lay the plumbing, to do the electrical, to repair the existing infrastructure. Even if we get to a point where we're 3D printing every house with the plumbing built into the 3D layout, there's still existing houses that will be here for another 100 years. And so the trades are fantastic. I'm a big proponent of the trades. As long as there are people, we will need tradesmen. And Raj says, yeehaw from England? We are in Northern Canada. Welcome to Northern Canada. And James says, I was voice texting. Matthew said, LOL. And White Prepper says, God bless you for not allowing the state to raise your kids. Cheers to that. I'm actually in Canada, but same deal. One of the 2 big reasons we decided to homeschool. One, we were initially thinking we would homeschool up until high school and then let them go to high school. We're kind of changing our tune towards that for a couple of reasons. One, the kids learn very fast when you can have one-on-one time with them. So they are learning very quickly, and they're very intelligent. You're not going to get that same one-on-one in a school system. So I don't want them to get bored. I don't want them to start slacking off. I don't want them to neglect their studies because it's too easy. 2, there's a lot of bad things going on in the school system right now. There's a lot of drug use. There's a lot of bullying. There's just, it's not a great thing. You know, you kind of get the whole no kid left behind. So I don't know that I think that if you are able to homeschool your kids, I think it's a great idea. We actually pay into a proper curriculum. I'm not just flying it, by the seat of my pants. We pay for a curriculum and teach them from the curriculum. But yeah, I love the fact that we are able to homeschool our children. And John says, I loved you on Brokeback Mountain, and I'm a huge fan of your content. Alrighty then. Henrik says, not mixed kids. I'm getting behind, which is throwing off my context. Tanner M says, wow, that's a huge bet on the AI though. And Jesse says, nah, I have worked since I was 10. My mom is a single mom. It's fine. I can work hard. And James had said, and this is why I take my grandson with me to ranching. Taking kids out, put them in like local farm groups, 4-H clubs, having them around the animals on the farm. I think it's fantastic. Teach your kids where the food comes from. If you can, I think it's an awesome idea. Get them out to go visit a ranch or see how other kids work with the animals. I just like the fact that with the homestead, we've got food security. It's nice to know that every day right now I've got eggs, I've got access to meat, dairy. So cheers to that. Matthew is taking care of cleaning up some of the chat. Jesse says, I am from Alberta. Alberta. John, I'm going to have to see, I'm going to time you out for a minute here so we can chat. I'm going to put you in a 1 minute timeout. Okay, John. Here's where I draw the line. So, I think, okay, I'll put you on a timeout. No sexualized content, no racist content. Most other things are okay, but there are families that watch, there's kids that watch. We got to keep it relatively wholesome and chill. So no sexualized content and no racist content. That's a big no for me. Otherwise, you got any questions, I'm here to answer. I'm here to hang out. I'm here to talk. Otherwise, anyone else have any questions, concerns, plans for the weekend? And Henrik, we'll keep you around for watch time, but we'll put you on a 30-minute timeout because I know you're not going to stick around for that. Matthew, this is what happens when we are live streaming, hanging out in the house and just chilling. We tend to get the trolls. When we're out with the animals, it seems to be a lot less. When we're out doing stuff and hanging out with the animals, we seem to get less trolls. But cheers to a Friday night. John got that 86,000 second timeout. Guys, sometimes you wish the world was a better place, but that's okay. This chamomile tea is pretty good. We're gonna keep chatting, but I'm gonna pull up a chair and sit for a minute. I want to check how warm it is in the house. It feels pretty nice. Yeah, it's 22. I might have to start a fire in the middle of the night. The nights right now up here in Canada, we're getting down to around 34, 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's definitely getting cool really quick up here. But as of right now, the house is holding its heat from the day pretty well. So what I'll probably end up doing is loading up my wood stove before I go to bed. And that way, if I have to wake up at 2 in the morning, I can just fire it up. Now, it's not going to be so cold that any of the pipes or anything are going to freeze. And it's just me home. I don't have the baby here. I don't have the wife here. So I might just sleep through it and add a couple blankets to the bed. And then that way I can just light a fire first thing in the morning. And we can have a coffee and a fire in the morning live stream. For those who are normal members of the channel and who normally watch, my wife and kids are out of town for the weekend, and so I plan to be online a fair bit this weekend. So we'll be streaming, obviously, right now. We'll be streaming again tomorrow, and again Sunday, and again Monday. So we're going to do back to back to back. And if you miss it, don't worry, because we'll probably stream again. Oh boy, I missed some of your comments. I didn't realize that I had to scroll down. I am sorry, guys. I thought we were just really quiet. Tanoram says, that all sounds very self-sufficient with the homeschooling, etc. Good luck. Matthew said, I missed your last comment. Matthew said, at white pepper, isn't that a reference to something bad? I missed it, but it could be. If I had to guess, white pepper would probably be cocaine. Mr. Martinez says, you like the Hudson River? I've never been to the Hudson River specifically, but I am up north towards Hudson's Bay. Tanaram says, houses in Canada must be very well insulated. They are supposed to be. To be honest, this one isn't. This house here, it was just a cabin, and this cabin was built about 50 years ago. Now, at least at this point, they started using insulation in the walls. Around that time, they would just throw newspaper in the walls or sawdust, and all that newspaper and sawdust would eventually just fall to the bottom. So the top half of the walls would be icy cold. The bottom halves would still be insulated. Thankfully, this one, I opened the walls up. It does have insulation. The problem with this house is that it's only 2x4 construction. So it's only 4-inch insulation, 4-inch walls. So when I took over this cabin, the floors weren't insulated, the walls had insulation. So we stripped it down to the joists. At some point, I will put up a video of before and after, because I fully gutted this whole place, put an addition on the back. That's this bathroom in behind here was an addition. This was never there. This was the outside wall. And so I put an addition on the place, spray foam insulated, put the walls back up. But because the walls are 2x4s, I couldn't go any thicker with the insulation. And so the walls do get cold. The windows are old. Single pane windows. And so the windows, I put plastic on them, but they still get super icy cold. But it is what it is. I do plan to build a new house on the property in like 3 to 5 years, and that house will be very nicely insulated. Putty Cat says, or Pooty Cat says, I think it is cool that you are off the grid. However, how are you streaming if you're off the grid? So I'm off grid, meaning that I'm not connected to the grid, but I do have solar panels and a generator. I'm not on the generator right now. We're running off of the batteries. So what happens is you collect the solar power from the sun, and that gets stored in a battery bank. So I have a bunch of batteries. I have 8 giant batteries that hold 20 kilowatt hours of power. So I have 20 kilowatt hours of power. Think like a hairdryer runs like 800 watts. And so if you ran the hairdryer for an hour, you would use 800 watt hours. And so all the things combined, I have 20 kilowatt hours of power. When I'm home alone by myself, I can go about 5 days before I have to run the generator to catch up. The sun does the rest, but every once in a while you got to re-catch up. I'm using a little more than I can harvest right now. That's because I've got like 4 freezers, a fridge, all the lights, and a Starlink. So we are online because I'm connected to the internet from Elon Musk. So that's how we do that. There are definitely times where at like 2 in the morning, the power will go out and I got to go outside and fire up the generator. So I try to pay attention to what the battery levels are throughout the week. And that way I know when to start the generator. So like last night, if I didn't start the generator last night for a few hours, I would have had to have woken up at like 2 in the morning, gone and started it, because I got all these freezers. I can't let the food thaw out. So yeah, it's just a matter of paying attention to your battery levels, topping them up with a generator when you need to, and relying on the sun for the rest, and then just being as efficient on the power. When my wife and kids are home, we go from 5 days without running the generator down to like 2. And that's because a lot of hand washing, a lot of toilet flushing, just more kids, so more lights and you know, having to vacuum and stuff like that. So burn a lot more power, a lot more in and out of the fridge. Every time you open and close the fridge, you're letting the cool out, the condenser has to kick on, you're burning way more power. So that's kind of how that works. And Binkin says, you mad cute. Putty Cat says, I understand, that makes sense. Thanks for explaining the situation. A lot of people think that if you're off grid, you have 0 power. And while that can be true, it is not necessary. You can have power, but what off grid really means is I live in a very remote place where the electricity from the grid, from municipalities, from the province or state, can't reach me. And so I live in a really remote area where I cannot get electricity, and so I need to generate my own electricity. You absolutely could be off-grid with no electricity, and if that's the case, you are hardcore. But it is really nice to have some amenities. Like if you had no power, you couldn't have a functional freezer. You'd have to go back to the traditional ways of cutting ice out of the lake, bringing it into a cold room, filling it full of straw and sawdust, and trying to keep all of your food in that cold room. or you'd have an ice box and you'd chip away chunks of the ice and put that in your ice box. I love having some electricity, but I also love being off grid. It has its own charm. Matthew says, it was a white supremacist thing that White Pepper said, and AM. Yeah, I don't know where those guys came out of the woodwork. Queso's left under boob says, let me lather you up. Oh boy. Cheers. I probably shouldn't have read past underboob. Tanner M says, I gotta go, sir. Wish you good luck with the farm and streams and homestead. Think about subscribing and we will chat again later. William says, White Pepper being some white supremacist code? Oh no. And Putty Cat says, are you a prepper as well? So you are prepared for something like nuclear war? I would say that I am a hardcore prepper, but not in the way you would think. I do have some canned goods and I do pressure can and I do all that prepping stuff, but I don't have a pantry full of goods. I don't have an underground bunker. What I do have is sustainably harvest food on my property. I have rabbits that I breed for meat. I've got goats that I breed for dairy and meat. I've got chickens and ducks that I breed for eggs if I had to, for meat. I've got cattle that I breed for meat. I have 156 acres off grid that I can go out and hunt and harvest. I do gardening. I've got an apple orchard I planted. But where I would say I'm really hardcore is I had laser eye surgery. I used to have glasses, couldn't see a thing. I actually got LASIK back when Russia-Ukraine war started. So this was now what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe longer. So I got laser eye surgery when that was going down because my thought was, if the world ends and I can't see past my arm, I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna be able to hunt. It's like I've got all these hunting skills, but they don't work if I can't see. So I went and got laser eye surgery. My back has been really, really, really bad. It finally blew out. I ended up getting spinal surgery. Hopefully that recovers good, because then my back is now good. So I would say I'm a hardcore prepper in the sense that I'm trying to get my body in order. I'm trying to get my property in order so that I can survive. But I'm not so hardcore, and I live off grid. So at least for the next 7 or 8 years while my batteries are still good, if the world ended right now, I still have access to some level of power. So cheers to that. And I do plan next year. Right now my well pump is an electric pump, but I do plan to install, I forget what it's called. I think it's called an apocalypse pump. So you can install inside the same well casing as your electrical pump, a hand pump. So you always have access to water that way. I also live on a lake. So if things came push to shove, I can go to the lake to get water, but it would be nice to be up at the house, just pump what you need. So yeah, that's where I would say I'm a prepper. Don't have the canned goods, don't have a bunker, but I got property, I got animals, I'm getting my body in order. Does that make sense? And Bobby Be Real says, yeah, my mom lives with tacos on some weird commune in northern Alberta. With tacos? With no power or running water. I feel like tacos was not the word you meant. James said, my grandson is learning about the value of hard work and the sense of pride in his work. It is always good to instill that in our young. Jim says, take your dang hat off inside, you jack. But then you wouldn't know we're talking about homesteading, my friend. Too Evil says, it's awesome you had your your eyes have lasers. Ukraine says, shush. You would have no power because you'd be dead. Well, I also live in the remote north part of Canada, and so I've done the math. If a nuclear bomb went off in the closest town to me, closest city to me, because there'd be no reason to bomb the middle of the forest. If one went off closest to me, we are just on the outside of any nuclear fallout. As long as I stay indoors for 3 days, the half-life should kick in and we'd be fine. We'd be fine. Maybe I'll die in 30, 40 years of cancer from nuclear fallout, but not immediately. So that is the plan. And Matthew says, when it's time to eat, do you ring the triangle? You got it. My wife will ring it at the window to call me and the kids in from farm. So if we're out there doing farm chores, my wife rings that triangle and that gets us inside. Alaska Critter Cam is in the chat, says, dropping in to support my wildlife, great channel. And if you guys like seeing really up close, high resolution bush camera footage of moose, bears, lynx, etc., go check out Alaska Critter Cam. Too Evil says it takes like 10 minutes or so to dress a buck, depending on the size. So I would say it takes me to, if I'm not going to hang it for 3 days, but I want to get the meat in the freezer, it takes me about 4 hours from the time I shoot a buck to the time I have all the meat processed and in the freezer. And Putty Cats, Ukraine says, is this guy serious? What's your issue, Ukraine? Putty Cat says, what's the worst thing or biggest pain in the behind in regards to being off grid? What's the worst thing, worst pain? So my generator is a 1955, and I put a post, I show myself just covered in oil, soot, and grease. My cooling belt broke, and this thing is, the nice thing is a 1955 generator, you can work on it with your own hands. There's nothing digital on it, so you can work on it. The problem is the way this was installed, the belt is in a shrouded case. So the case goes over, the belt runs through it, and there's 2 little slots. And the casing is bolted on to the back end of the generator. The generator is then slid against the wall, and then the exhaust duct runs off of that. None of this comes apart. And so the belt snapped, and I had to change that. Luckily, I had a spare belt for it. I was planning to change the belt preemptively because it was looking worn. But because it was going to be such a pain to do it, I said, I'll deal with it later. Well, sure enough, it breaks. It's 2 in the morning. I've got no electricity, no power. I don't want the food in the fridge to thaw because I live off grid. So I need to get this generator running now. And so I had to go out there, tear the generator apart. I was out there till like 3:30, 4 in the morning until I finally got her all torn apart, put back together. It was a hassle. So the problem with being off grid is when SHIT hits the fan, you got to deal with it now. You're going to have to deal with it yourself. You live remote, so there is no call a mechanic or go get the parts. It's just time to scratch some knuckles and get her done. And Paul says, did you turn your hat around? No, we're still wearing it normal. We're still good. We're still good. We're still good. And Wayne says, morning, just subscribed to the channel from the UK. Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate you. Too Evil says, do you have a Discord? I do not have a Discord. I do have a Patreon with a free group chat, but I don't have a Discord. I feel like a dinosaur. You know, I'm the right age. I'm 33. I should know what Discord is. I've dabbled in it a little bit when Midjourney was first coming out just to see what that was all about, but I have no idea how Discord even works. It sounds like too much headache for me to figure it out at this point. William says, in the 50s through 70s, they set off 1,000 above ground nuclear bombs in Nevada. Yeah. They also tried to launch one in the atmosphere to see if they could punch through the atmosphere with a nuke, and they just like supercharged, I guess, the above orbit atmosphere full of radiation. Fun times. Jay Christian says, always hang your meats. So for me, it depends. If I shoot a deer and it's around 0 degrees, like 32 Fahrenheit, if it's around 0 degrees Celsius, then I will hang the deer. But if it's any warmer than that, you run the risk of getting flies and bugs, and you got to wrap it if you want to keep that away. You risk a higher chance of spoilage if it's getting too hot. Up here in northern Canada, our temperatures fluctuate a lot. So unless you can get the deer into like a garage where you can hang it and keep it out of the sun, our daytimes will still get up to like 15 degrees Celsius, but our nights will get down to like around that 0. So you can hang it, but for me, I just butcher it right away, and then I know I'm not going to have any spoilage. I'm not going to have any bugs getting on the meat, stuff like that. So for me, I don't bother hanging my deer normally unless I catch them late enough in the season. Too Evil says, well, I'm just saying the part where you get the guts out and start cooling it, not the process afterwards. Yes, you can get the guts out and start cooling it right away. I usually, if I shoot a deer, I wait until it stops moving, stops breathing. If I'm lucky, that's right away. Sometimes it'll be a few minutes. And then, yeah, you get right up to it, open it up, get the guts out. Then you can drag it to where you want and hang it. And that is pretty quick. The rest is the long part. It's quick to get the hide off, but then processing all the cuts of meat takes a while. And Matthew says, you should learn to use a mill and a metal lathe, a wood lathe. I'm going to buy a wood mill in the spring, so that is definitely part of the plan. I'm going to buy a wood mill. I don't know if I'll get a lathe. Eventually, I'd like to get a lathe. I'd like to make my own arrows, and it'd be really cool to use a lathe to do that. Although you can use, you know, you can get really slick with a knife and some straight branches. Deb says, you are handsome. Thank you. Two Evil says, the washing, hanging, and skinning takes longer. Matthew says, I'll make you a Discord, Justin. We'll talk, Matthew. We'll talk on Patreon. William says, they did set off a couple in the atmosphere. Paul says, how it going? How the sausage tasting from the butchered for them? How's it going? And how was the butchered pig? The butchered pig is fantastic. We've been having breakfast sausage almost every day. I thought that keeping 2 pigs for myself, I gifted 1 to my parents and 1 to my in-laws, and I kept 2 for myself. I thought that'd be enough pork for the year, but like the amount of pork we're eating off of those pigs, I'd be surprised if we get past like March. And Buster says, that looks like a 15-gallon hat. I'd put it at closer to a 1-gallon hat. My head is sitting nicely inside of it. I think my head's about 1 gallon. There you go. And Jay Christian says, it just improves the flavor. It takes the gaminess out when you hang it. I find the biggest thing with gaminess and things like deer is that if you keep your knife really clean, so usually I'll have a pail of water with me and a cloth. When I'm making those cuts through the sinew, as long as I'm wiping the knife before cutting into the meat, I really don't find I get that much gaminess. It also helps if it's not super windy, you're not blowing too much hair onto the meat. So if you keep that meat really clean, you keep your knife really clean, that definitely helps. If you're paying attention to the different glands as you're cutting underneath the armpits and elbow area, and you're wiping your knife right away, keeping it nice and clean, that definitely helps. I will agree that hanging the meat does make it a little more tender. And it can help with flavor, just bloodletting it. That can help. That can help. But I like the taste of deer regardless. I don't find it a gross animal. And so for me, I just don't bother. I don't bother. Now with cows, we do hang the cows. We do hang the pigs. So definitely. But I find with deer, I just like it regardless. And Alaska says, I posted a nice bull moose that was on its knees eating. Very interesting looking. Guys, if you want to see a bull moose, go check out Alaska Critter Cam on YouTube. Joe says, does hanging a deer not attract bears? It can. It can. Wayne says, what do you do with the insides of the deer? I will give, so some of the organs I keep for myself. So I'll keep the heart. I'll keep the liver. The heart tastes really good. You can cook it. What I like to do is marinate it to soften it up, and then cook it like steaks. Really good. You open it up, you unpeel it, cut out some of the fat, and then yeah, it's like a steak. The liver, not as good. If you're not a liver person, you might not like it. But what I do is I ground the liver into my ground venison. So I'll take like a little bit of pork, a little bit of deer meat, and then a little bit of liver, and I'll mix them all together. Kind of like a 10% liver, 70% deer, 20% pork, something like that. And mix it together. And then the other organs, I'll give some of the other organs to my dog. And then the rest goes into the gut pile. And the birds, the coyotes, the fox, the wolves, the predators just pick it away and it's gone in no time at all. And Deb says, how do you not attract the bears? You just hope they don't come around. And if they do, you eat those too. And Bob says, hat inside is a no-no, brother. Love ya. You know what? Here's the only thing, Bob. Here's the only reason I'm wearing the hat. One, I started the stream outside. So we did start streaming outside with the goat and the cows and stuff. So with the goats and cows and chickens and ducks. So we started outside. Two, it kind of gives you a preface of the type of content you're about to watch. So while I'm wearing the hat inside and I look like a dork, you kind of get an immediate impression. Are we talking about farm stuff? Are we talking about living off grid? Are we talking about homesteading and hunting? So I think it accomplishes the job. And Hester says, do you have any bears come onto your farm? We sometimes do. So here's the thing about my property. It's really, really unique, really beautiful. It's a peninsula. So the water goes all the way around the property. And so there's only one way for the bears to come. They're not going to swim across. They're going to come from the north side that way. And so there are times where I do have bear come onto the property, but I have a dog. I'm also getting donkeys. And so the outside animals will start making a lot of noise. You know, the cow starts getting spooked. She starts making a bunch of noise. The goats start making noise. And usually the bears will back off and stay away. That being said, I'm always paying attention. I'm watching for fresh scat. I do a lot of time out in the bush. Actually, I'm thinking this weekend we might go scout the forest on the north side. Keep an eye open. Maybe we'll find a bear, maybe not, but I do plan to do some scouting this weekend. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what comes of that. We'll see what we can find. On my farm fields out that way, I also have put out some goose decoys. I'm hoping to draw in some geese because it is geese hunting season. And Deb says, love a man in an awesome hat. Thank you, Deb. And do you have grizzlies or black bears? Up here we have black bears and brown bears, but no grizzly bears. So we're pretty safe that way up here in the far north in Ontario where I am. No grizzlies. And Alaska says, I had a processor down the road that would charge $10 to gut a deer. I could bring it there 10 minutes after I shot it, so it was worth it because my dogs would find the guts, dig them up, and roll in them. Yeah, that's not too fun. That's not too fun. My dog did, while I was gutting my deer last year, my dog was right there with me, and she looked terrifying because she was getting her face all in it and her head was just covered in blood. So she's a yellow lab golden retriever, and so her face was like red and then her body was golden yellow, and she looked kind of frightening. And Bob says, black bear in Canada. Yep. And yes, Deb, just a thing my papa used to say, the hat is for outside, son. Yeah, I'm using it just as a decoration, as an accessory right now. Clearly not having to keep the sun off my head or the rain off my shoulders, but it sets the scene. So for those of you who are newer to the channel, I do these live streams normally around 3 to 5 times a week. We're going to do a bit of a marathon here this weekend. My wife and kids are out of town, so I'm going to stream tomorrow a couple times during the day. So I plan to stream first, like early in the morning after breakfast. During the middle of the day, I'm going to go spend some time out in the forest. So I won't be streaming that because I don't have service, but I'm going to find something to make a long form video out of the forest. And then we'll do another live stream in the evening. And so that's kind of the plan tomorrow. Same thing with Sunday, though it's calling for rain. So we'll see how that goes. And then again, Monday morning. So we plan to be streaming back to back to back this weekend, multiple different times. KJ says, I'm back. How you doing, KJ? Poppy is in the house. Deb says, love the scene, made me stop to look. Well, thank you for stopping in and checking us out. Wayne says, do I got pudding in Canada? We have chocolate pudding. I'm going to assume that wasn't racist. Matthew says, I put my cap inside in the house all day long. I put my cap on inside the house all the time. Apollo and Layla is dropping in saying, hello, sir. How you doing, Steven? Guys, go check out Apollo and Layla on YouTube. They are streaming twice a day, every day. They've got 2 white German Shepherds, fantastic dogs. Plus they got Tucker, they got some chickens. If you guys like hanging out with me, you're gonna love hanging out with Apollo and Layla. Super wholesome content, great community, super wholesome, friendly, good crowd. So go check out Apollo and Layla on YouTube, guys. It's a fantastic crowd. Steven, I was just telling people how my plan for the weekend. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow morning. I'm going to go in the forest during the day and try to find something cool. Whether I find a pine marten, a black bear, a moose, a deer, I'm going to go find something cool in the forest that I can hopefully make a long form video out of. I'm thinking Coyote Peterson style. We're going to go out there and put a bear's head right beside our face. We're going to see what we can get into. We're going to see what kind of trouble we can find. So we're going to spend a lot of time exploring the forest tomorrow. I'm home alone. My wife and kids are out of town. So we're going to go spend some time in the woods. We're going to then stream again in the evening. Then again Sunday and Monday, a bit of rinse and repeat. So we're going to be streaming and finding some long form content all weekend. I did get my 2 brake drums. So I plan to make some brake drum forges. A forge, where you build a fire and you heat up metal, get it red hot, and then you can hammer it into shape your metal, pull it, twist it, sharpen it, etc., etc. So that's going to be next year. I got the brake drums now, but I'm gonna wait till my health is better, and we're gonna do the brake drum forge next year. My plan: I want to make some homemade charcoal, then use the brake drum forge to heat up some metal, shape it into some arrowheads, make a few different custom arrowheads, and then do kind of a head-to-head challenge, aluminum arrowheads, iron arrowheads, maybe some steel, maybe some bone, maybe some rock. And so we're gonna make a whole bunch of different stuff and see what happens. But that is on next year's docket. That's 2026. Deb says, awesome, that'll be cool to watch. What I plan to do, because I love doing these live streams, is I will set up 2 cameras. So when I am doing the forge, I can have one camera hanging out with you guys, the other one collecting some B-roll. And same thing, when I'm making the arrows and all that, I can have one camera set up, watching me make it. I can then go and edit and trim up that content, but we can do it live at the same time. Bob says, do you have horses? I don't have any horses, but I am getting 2 donkeys at the end of the month. And Wayne says, no, not racist. It's pig's blood mixed with stuff. We love it here in the UK. Wayne, I've never tried that. I did just send my pigs to the butcher and got them back, and I did not get any black pudding out of my pigs. That sounds like a horrible meal, but if you guys love it there, it can't be that bad. And James says, I will be fixing the fence line tomorrow. Good luck, James. I hope that goes well. I just try to, my fence line's not as big as yours. I only have about 30 acres of field. And so I have nowhere near as much fencing as you do. We did have a big windstorm last weekend, and my closest neighbor, their herd of cattle got out. And so I went and helped them find their cows in the forest, and we herded their cows up. I didn't do a video about it. I probably should have, but I was more focused on helping the neighbors than making a video. It was kind of fun, just exploring the forest, looking for signs, looking for tracks, eventually finding them and getting them back in their thing. I probably should have did a video, but you know how it is. And Poppy says, well, guess my favorite homesteader has on and off wilderness steader ups and downs in the wilderness. Homestead Playground, Hudson's Bay, Northern Canada. Yeehaw. Matt, that sounds like a song, my friend. It sounds like you're writing a song. And Matthew says, you missed my previous comment. Matthew had said, boudin equals black pudding, blood sausage. Matthew is out here doing the research and making it happen. Wayne says, Google it. I'm being honest. I got you. Matthew backed you up. I hear you, Wayne. Total Tech says, I had the EV cars mean everyone has to move to the city over the next 20 years. I do not understand the first half of that sentence. I heard that all the EV cars means everyone has to move to the city. Are you trying to say that in the future, if they make all EV cars, everyone's got to move to the city in the next 20 years because we can't travel? At that point, I'm just going to ride I'll get some horses and I'll just ride those to the city. Bob says, yeah, mom chum, moi aussi, Ripon, Quebec, dans le bois. And I just know it. I didn't have to Google it. And je ne parle pas le français, mon ami. Je parle anglais only. I'm not very good at French. I can read a little bit, but I'm not very good. Deb says, we camped in Lake Nipigon, Ontario. Lots of moose. Yes, I actually used to live way back. I used to live close to Lake Nipigon. I'm very familiar with the area. And one time I went for a big hike in the woods that way, and I came across a creek, and I couldn't see the moose, but I could hear the moose letting out calls all the way around the lake. They were just calling back and forth, and it was really, really fascinating. I couldn't see any, but I could hear them everywhere. And Bob says, you speak French, bro, respect. And Apollo says, found a snake at my house this week. Did you get a video? Total Tech says, what if they take away the horse for the climate crisis? Oh boy. The nice thing about living in the remote north part of Canada off-grid, if they start enacting crazy laws like that, I just stop traveling to cities and no one will know I'm here. I'll just disappear. I'm already off-grid. I live off-grid, so I'll just disappear. Del Boy says, nice hat, brother. Thank you, Del Boy. Turtle says, in the mighty name of Turtle. How you doing, Turtle? Dawn says, hi. Hey, Dawn. James says, so one of the cowboys parked the skid steer in front of the breach in the fence line. That's one way to do it. If you got to stop the cows from getting out right away. What ended up happening here is it was a really crazy windstorm. A tree went down on the line, and the cows, they noticed. They walk the fence line. They like to walk the fence line, especially towards this time of year. Up here in Canada, the hay in the fields is getting really poor. It's not getting as tasty. It's getting a little over chewed. And so if you're not quick to put hay bales in the field, actually I plan to do that tomorrow. I plan to put a couple hay bales in my field just to give them some extra supplement. But they start getting antsy. They pace the fence line. And if they find a hole in the fence line, they're gone. They're going for it. They want to eat all the fresh leaves off the trees. They want to eat the grass on the other side of the fence. They don't usually go far, but you got to go find them. You don't want your cows to get out. So they will test the fence. They will check. Bob, I feel like I can't even try. Non, j'ai tout fermer ça juste YouTube. Mes accounts sont encore up though. Are you combining some English? You're making this too tricky. Though said Boucher. Total Tech says, I like your hat. Thank you, Total. And Matthew says, no problem, Wayne. Deb says, what kind of cows? So I have Black Angus, and I'm getting 2 Shorthorns mixed with, give me a second, I've got it written down. They are Shorthorns mixed with, where are you? Gelbvieh. So they are Gelbvieh, spelled Gelbvieh Shorthorns. So I'm getting 2 Gelbvieh Shorthorns, and I've got a Black Angus. I've had a Highland, but it was crazy. And I had another Black Angus. It was a bull, and he got a little too aggressive for me, and I ended up eating him. But yeah, we're getting 2 Gelbviehs. We have a Black Angus. And then we are also getting 2 standard donkeys, 2 Jennies, 2 females. One of them is pregnant, so we're going to have a baby donkey next year. And then the other is not pregnant, but we plan to breed her. So there's going to be some adult and baby donkeys on the homestead next year. Gabby, my Black Angus, is pregnant, and so we will have a baby cow. The thing with Gabby is she could have got pregnant in March, which is terrible because that means she's going to have a baby end of December, early January. So for those 2 weeks, I need to lock her in the barn because I can't risk her having a baby out in the fields because it's too cold up here. So I need to lock her in the barn for those 2 weeks. She was with my bull for a couple weeks before I butchered him, but it was terrible timing. So yeah, he kept getting out, breaking through the fence, and then I'd get him back in. He started getting aggressive. He wanted to be with her. He didn't want to be with me. He started attacking me, and then I ate him. So yeah. Let's get ourselves a little more tea. It's weird not having my wife and kids here because it's like I'm gonna have to regulate the time and give myself a bedtime. But right now we can keep going for a while. But we need some tea to keep drinking, and I feel like the water is probably still hot enough. We're gonna drink some hot water and see how hot it is. Mediocre at best. We're gonna drink this cup of water, reheat some more water for tea, and then we will continue. Hester says, do you have a brother and sisters? I have one older brother. So I have one brother who is 3 years older than me. And it's, I don't want to give away too much, but we are into totally different stuff. So we grew up in the same house. You know, we've got, our parents are still married. So you can't say it was like a different thing from how we were raised. But I grew up much more into sports and athletics. My older brother was much more into computers and gaming. And so we kind of grew up on a little bit different paths. And kind of a funny, selfish story. So I remember when I was probably around 7 or 8 years old, my parents were really trying to encourage my brother to get into a sport, any sport. And so they were telling him, they were saying, you know, hey, there's this new club in town. It's a trampoline club. They've got these really cool, high quality trampolines. They do flips and tricks, and it sounds like a ton of fun. You could learn how to do front flips and back flips and spinning flips and all this fun stuff on a trampoline. And we think you'd really like it. So they're like, you know, and if you sign up and you go to the club and you enjoy it, we'll buy you a trampoline. And being the younger brother, I was like, I want a trampoline. I want one. And so I was trying so hard to convince my brother to do this. I was like, you got to go. You're going to love it. You're going to have a great time. But he really, really wanted to play video games. He didn't want to go jump on a trampoline. And so he refused. He said, no, I'm not doing it. And I was devastated. I was like, bro, this is our one chance to get a trampoline. And I want a trampoline. And, my parents at the time, they put everything into us, but it wasn't like they were super wealthy. So they weren't going to buy one just to have one. They're really trying to encourage him to get active. They're like really great parents. I have fantastic parents. But I remember being a little devastated and mad at him. I was mad at my brother because he did not want to jump on a trampoline, and I really wanted a trampoline. Yeah, just my fun little selfish story of brotherhood. And Bob says, gotta go. I'll be back. You have nice... I will be back here. Nice content, brother. Take care. Bob, I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you again later. And Wayne had said... some of my friends think I have a farm only because I have 3 dogs, 3 cats, 2 ducks, a tortoise, and a hamster. Hey, you got 2 ducks? That's the start. You can, I wouldn't call it a farm, but you can absolutely call that a homestead if it's, the start of a homestead. I love ducks. I have, what do I have? I've got like 20 ducks. When I end the live stream, I'm gonna have to go put them all away because I left them outside. So they probably put themselves away, but I got to lock up their house because if I leave it open, it's just too tempting for a fox or something to try to get in there. And Wayne says, I forgot I have a 17-year-old son as well. My oldest is 8. And Bob says, I'm at work. See you, Matt. Take care, Bob. Apollo says, does your bro watch the streams? He does pop in every once in a while, although I'm not going to give away his name because... he does make some YouTube content as well. I'm really trying to encourage him to. We don't live in the same cities. We live very far away. But I try to be pretty sensitive about who I am in the greater scheme of things because I'm not going to say I'm a public figure, but people know me. And so, because I've got young kids, I try to maintain a little bit of privacy online, even though I'm here. And even though the internet sleuthers of the world could figure out who I am, I just try to keep a little discreet because if I gave away too much information, you'd be able to dial in and find my exact location. And a lot of streamers, a lot of YouTubers have a hard time with that, especially while I got young kids. I got to be a little careful. He does make some YouTube videos, and I'm encouraging him. I'm trying to push him to do it more. I'm trying to coach him through it, but I don't want to say who he is on here because. Then he might not be as sensitive as I am, and he might give away his Batman identity, and then y'all will find me. And Deb says, bye, Bob. And Bob says, bye, Deb. Spelt backwards. Deb says, 20 ducks? What kind? So it's probably more than 20 if I actually went out and counted them. But we have... no, I have a wife and kids, but that's okay. We have a bunch of Ancona ducks, Anconas. We hatched those from eggs. We also have some Pekin, Buff Orpington, and Appleyard ducks. So I have 4 different types of ducks. 4 different types of ducks. And Compa Ray says, hey, brother, like number 58. Thank you, Compa. How are you doing? Says, I love the outfit. Thank you. Is it cold over there? It is. The house is nice and warm right now. We're sitting at 22 degrees, but tonight it's going to get 22 degrees Celsius. Tonight in Fahrenheit, it's probably going to get down to around 38 Fahrenheit outside. So there's a definite chill in the air. But speaking of which, I'm actually feeling pretty hot. So we're gonna step behind the camera and take off the sweater. So bear with me 1 second while I strip off stream. Gonna do a little dance for y'all, but you guys can't see it. Catch me live on OnlyFans. Oh boy, we almost knocked the plant over. Oh boy, that was catastrophic. That was catastrophic. There we go. There we go. Take off the sweater. And our tea is going to be ready. So let's slam some water and drink some tea. Wayne says, my ducks are Cherry Valley ducks. I haven't heard of that one. The duck breeds that we have up here have to be pretty winter hardy because it gets down to minus 40 degrees. And yes, I do have a duck house and I do put a heater in there, but they still got to be pretty hardy to survive these cold temperatures. Jill is in the chat, says, "Oh, that is cold." And Matthew says, "You missed my comment." And if I scroll up, Matthew says, "Do it now with us, Justin, the ducks." Do what with you now, Matthew? Compa says, "And how are you feeling? How is the family doing?" I'm feeling really good. Better every day. I talked to my surgeon earlier today. He gave me the green light to start going back to the gym next week. That has been the worst, one of the worst parts. Obviously, let me collect my thoughts. My right leg still does fall asleep on me when I use it. So I'm really good at using it, but it's an irritating feeling. It doesn't hurt. It's just the whole thing just goes numb, tingly, and I stop feeling the lower half of my leg. So I got to be careful. That means we're probably not going to go on a treadmill. We'll probably stick to like the bike. That way we don't eat it and die. But I was in pretty good shape 2 months ago. I was going to the gym 4 days a week. I was working out lots. I was feeling really good. I had lots of energy. And so since my back blew out and I had to stop going to the gym, that was very frustrating. Losing all that size and losing some muscle and stuff, very annoying. But I know that it'll come back quick. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back in the gym. And Deb says, "Bring the ducks in with the live cam." What I will do, Deb, is tomorrow morning I will be, if I go right now, it's pitch black. Do you want to go? If I go right now, it's going to be very, very dark. We can do it. If you guys want to see it, let me hear it now. Would you rather continue chatting here, or do you want me to go outside? I'll bring a flashlight. It'll be hard to see, but we'll do what we can. I'll turn the light on, and we can put the ducks and chickens away. Do we want to do it now, or do we want to just keep chatting? James says, "Did you see my last comment? I missed it, James." James had said, James said, "After fixing the fence, I am going to put 160 bales with 3 cowboys and my grandson." You're going to go put out 160 bales? I'm probably going to put about 2 bales in my field tomorrow, just enough for them to pick at. And then once the snow comes, I'll drop the rest out there. And Wayne says, "It's time for me to get to bed. It is 2:10 in the morning here in the UK, but I will catch up with you in the next live." Wayne, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you, and we will catch you tomorrow. Alaska Critter Cam says, "Health is wealth." Matthew says, "It's dangerous for them in the moment." And the Swiss Vapor says, "Hello, everyone. How you doing, Phil?" Deb says, "Yes, bring in the ducks for the night." I just took my sweater off. Let's put the jacket on. We're going to go put the ducks away for the night. So let's go outside. We got to throw the jacket on because it is getting chilly out there. Okay, guys, we are going to go put some chickens and ducks away. I feel like my camera's a little dirty. There's like a haze here. Let's try to clean that up a little bit. We'll use the jacket. The back sound is okay. Okay, hello guys. Sorry, I'm throwing you guys around, but I think that's maybe a little better. Okay, we're gonna grab a flashlight because we're gonna go out and we're gonna put the ducks and chickens away for the night. I assume that most of them have put themselves away. But let's get out there and go see what's going on. Let's turn a light on. It is pitch black out here already. Let's flip the camera around. Turn the flashlight on this. Wha-bam! Lily, baby! Sure. You want in the house or out? Come on. No, you stay in the house. I don't need her chasing ducks. Okay. I started bringing Lily in for the nights because it's starting to get cold out. I figure since we're getting donkeys anyway, she doesn't have to toughen up and get used to the cold. She do a little scan, look for... There's some goats right there. Bah! I got to put Oreo away too. Oreo's got to go to bed because she is very pregnant, due any day. And so I got to put her in a separate spot of the barn. And that way, if she does have her babies, nobody's going to get squished. Nobody's going to get, nobody's going to pick on the babies. Okay, let's see what we got out here. I'm gonna have to go looking for chickens too, because they like to sometimes go in the barn. So all the ducks are already away. We're gonna close the door and then I'll show you the ducks. So I'm pretty sure they're all in there, but let me close the door and then I'll show you the ducks. Okay, the door is closed. Let's take a look over here, guys. Oh yes, you guys are not supposed to be in here, but I'm gonna leave the chickens in here because they're not gonna hurt anything. Ducks, 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 ducks. That looks like all of them. I just did a quick roll count. Okay, I know. Sorry, guys. Okay. Now we're gonna go look for any chickens that aren't in here. There's a bunch of chickens in here. Set this down this way. We're gonna take a quick walk back here just to look and see, make sure no one's still out. Doesn't look like it. Let's make sure no one's in this one. No, everything's okay in here. Okay. I wish I could show you guys. I wish I could show you the stars. You can't see on the screen because it's it's too hard to see. There's not enough exposure, but the stars are fantastic. Look at all the goats. Hey guys, I'm gonna come look for any chickens and grab any chickens over there, okay? If there's any chickens with the rabbits, I'll grab them and I'll throw them in here. So this is the evening routine, Deb. We gotta walk around out here, look for any stragglers. I gotta move Oreo into the other barn. I gotta go find her because she's not with the other goats. Bear with me, guys. I gotta open the gate with one hand, which is a little harder than it should be. There we go. Okay. Let me in, guys. Hello, everyone. Try to grab the cord here and relock the gate so no one gets out. Hi, hello. This is Mimi. I'll respond to the chat here once I'm done running around. This is Oreo. Hey, Oreo, mama. Oh, okay, these are the chickens we gotta grab. This is what I was talking about. So, I don't want these guys sleeping out here. Oh man, I missed. Okay, here's a chicken. I was supposed to put my hands over his wings, but he got out. I'm gonna go throw this one over the fence, and then I'm gonna come back for the other one. So bear with me, goats. Oh boy, I need to take you guys with me because I can't see. I put the flashlight down, and my hands are full of chicken. Okay, bear with me, guys. Hello, chicken. Okay, you're gonna learn to fly today, chicken. You're gonna fly. Okay, ready? Fly. Okay, now go into your house with everyone else. I'm gonna go get the other one. Bear with me, guys. We're rounding up the chickens. One left. They're safest in there, so I want to put them away. I want to put them in there. Okay. Let's do a better job of collecting you. That was better. That was better. Chicken. Okay, that was a smooth transition. I didn't mess that one up. Okay. Now, I always wonder when I throw the chickens over the fence if they're just gonna not fly one time, and if we're just gonna like throw it, you know. I'm banking on this guy flying when I chuck him over the fence. Fly. Good chicken. Okay, now let's put Oreo away. Oreo knows that I'm putting her away for the night. She's already standing by the door. Come on, Oreo. Gotta just grab her by the collar here and just walk her over. Come on, Oreo. Good girl, mama. I already have water in here for her. I just need to push her in here. So the whole point of this, guys, so I put Oreo in here for the night. Let's go in. I've got rabbits in here. So this is where I normally keep my rabbits. However, I'm putting I'm putting Oreo in here for the night because she is very pregnant. She's gonna pop any day now. And so I don't want her in the same barn as my cow or my other goats because I don't want the babies to get stepped on, rolled on. I don't want the other goats to kind of pick on the babies. So she's going in here by herself so that if she had her babies tonight, it's gonna be any time within the next week, I would say. So if she had her babies tonight, they're safe. And then, Gabby! Come here, Gab! Gabby! I got a cow out here somewhere. Gabby! I'm looking for my cow. I don't see her, but she's somewhere out here. It's not too cold. She might just bed down in the field. But if she comes, I'll put her in the barn. I'll put her in the barn over there. But she doesn't have to. Gabby will be fine. She'll be fine if she's out in the field. Good night, Gab. I don't see her and she's not coming. So I'm going to say she's fine. She's somewhere back in the fields. But if she's not coming, I'm not worried about her. Okay, all of you goats, you guys are fine. I got to go make sure those last 2 chickens went to bed. And then we're going to go back inside. So yeah, these are the goats. I'll catch up with the chat in a second. Sorry, guys. It's hard to read the chat while you're doing farm chores because you're constantly like watching where all the animals are, where the gates are. It's okay in the day, but the contrast of the light in my face and the dark all the way around, it's pitch black out here. So it's kind of hard to read everything as well. So we're going to sneak away. You guys have a good night, okay? I know you guys are probably a little curious as to why I keep locking Oreo up and thinking maybe she did something bad. You're thinking she's in jail. She's not. I'm just keeping her safe. So let's go make sure those chickens went in, then we'll get back in the house, have another tea, and keep the conversation going. Hey, Deb, I appreciate you because you made me get out here and do this so I don't have to come out later. So thanks for encouraging me to just get out here. Now, I don't really care if the chickens went in the house or into the duck area. They can fly, and so they'll fly through this little crack in the roof. Oh, this guy's got to come down, though. So I got one straggler who's got to come down because this is not a safe spot. You're going to go in the house, buddy. You're going to go in here. We're going to lock the door. And now you are safe from any foxes. Nobody else hanging out in a weird spot. So these guys are all safe. They're safe enough in there. I'm not too worried about them hiding on that ledge. But I think that's everyone. I think we're good. We look okay. Okay. We are going to go back into the house now that all the chickens are safe. There's usually a bunch of them hanging out right in here. Oh, there's a couple eggs. Can I get it? 1 egg, 2 eggs, couple eggs. No more hanging out in there? I don't think so. And there's too many chickens in this one. Okay, we got 2 eggs. There's a golf ball in there to stop them from pecking. So yeah, a couple of eggs in the pocket. Let's close the door. There we go. Okay, good night, rooster. Good night, chickens. Any eggs on the ground in there? I don't think so. I don't see any. I think we're okay. Okay, good night, guys. There we go. 2 eggs in the bank. The goats are chilling on the other side of the fence here. Good night, guys. Good night, girl. Oh, good night. Good night, girl. Good night. I don't have any treats for you, just head scratches. Good night. This one here is Faye. Brain's not working. This is Faye, and that's Elsa. Faye and Elsa. Eggs for breakfast. You got it. You know what's up. Okay, let me get in the house, and then I'm going to catch up with the chat. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to talk as much. Like I said, it's a little harder when it's dark out and there's contrast, and I'm trying to walk around and not trip and not lose my footing. But you guys got to see some rabbits. You got to see some ducks. I can hear geese flying in overhead. I do have some goose decoys out in the back field because I set them out in an area so that one of my buddies can come hunt on the property. Hopefully he can hunt a few geese and give me some meat. But he won't. I don't know if you guys can see, that's the moon. Nice and orange. There's the moon. Behind a playset and some trees. Okay, we're gonna get back inside here and continue the conversation at my wildlife homesteading. Lily beans, you are so excited to be in the house. I know that at 2 in the morning you're gonna be bugging me to go outside. Don't run me over, girl. Don't. Oh, my doggy, my doggy, my doggy. She loves me. Okay, there we go. We're back. Let's Lily, I have eggs in my pocket. I have eggs in my pocket. 2 eggs in the pocket. Make sure I didn't break them. Okay, we're gonna put these in the fridge. Lily, you are so excited right now. Sit, Lily, sit. Stay. I'm not feeding you the eggs. Stay. The eggs are going in the fridge because Daddy needs to eat those for breakfast. 1, 2. Lily. What an excited pup. What an excited girl. Okay, Lily, I want to chat with some people. I want to say hi to them. You want to say hi to them too? Oh, Lily, I have a broken back. You can't be jumping on me, Lily. You can't be jumping on me. Hey, I'm healing. I'm healing, girl. I'm healing. I have a broken back. Give me a break, bro. Some people's dogs. Let's get some tea. And let's go. Let's see what tea we get this time. We did chamomile last time. This time, why do I keep grabbing turmeric? Let's just go with this. What is this? This is real tea with real ingredients. Chamomile, mint. Apparently I've got all chamomile, but this is mint citrus. Bear with me, guys. I need to slam this in here. I should probably wash my hands because I was touching chickens, and I probably shouldn't do what I just did, but YOLO. Let me get some, wash my hands for a second. Okay, guys, I'm back. No. Lily wants an egg. Yes, she does. She was going wild for a second. Okay, we are back. Welcome back to My Wildlife Homesteading, and I'm back. Deb, thank you for convincing me to go do that because now I don't have to go back out there tonight. All of the chores are said done. I'll probably go outside one more time right before bed just to check the generator, make sure I don't have to fire up the generator, but I shouldn't have to. It should be fine. But yeah, okay, guys. If I missed anything during all that kerfluffle, if you guys could just repeat it now so I don't have to scroll way up and get lost in context, I'll read what I can see right now. Jill had said, how was your harvest moon the other night? The moon has been fantastic. We've had beautiful, like right now it's a beautiful red moon. We've had full moons. It has been lovely. It's been a really clear sky lately. And so going out there, I wish my iPhone camera could really show you the sky that I see. If I put it on low exposure time lapse, you'll be able to see the stars, but live streaming you can't. It's just a full night sky of stars. Give it another hour and you'll be able to see the Milky Way. You'll be able to see shooting stars. If there's any solar flares, we'll see some northern lights. It's really, really pretty out there. And Deb said, oh, Lily, you are beautiful. And Jill says, Lily wants an egg. Matthew says, you need a spotlight far, far brighter than that. Yeah, you know what? I bought one of these cheap hand crank flashlights, which is what I was just using. I thought, you know what? This guy here, at least in a survival situation, it's got a little solar panel on it and you can crank it, but it generates very little light. I thought it was going to be brighter. I didn't check the lumens, but at least in a pinch, it works. Yeah, sometimes it is absolutely pitch black out there and you can't see a thing. Lily is excited again. She heard me cranking that and she was like, what's that? Is that a toy for me? Is that something I can chew on? Is that something I can destroy that Daddy loves? Is that something I can chew on? You're a good girl. You're a good girl. Tomorrow you're going to get chicken breasts for breakfast. you're going to get some chicken breasts. I feed Lily a whole meat diet. So I do this program called Loop, L-O-O-P, where we get, I collect all of the expired produce from our local grocery store on stock exchange days, which is every second Monday. They do it more often. There's other farmers, but I do it every second Monday. And so because I get a lot of meat, we switched Lily over to a whole meat diet. And so I just make sure that I give her enough balance between fish, pork, beef. Lily, she's making me think there's another mouse in the house. I caught one yesterday. Lily, are you chasing mice? Is there a mouse under there? Part of the farm life, my friends. Part of the farm life. There's probably a mouse in there underneath the pantry somewhere. And Maya says, what brand hat you wearing? Thank you. This is a Saratelli, made in America. Saratelli. Saratelli. And Jill says, Matthew, it's winner, winner, chicken dinner. And Matthew says, oh yeah, Jill, that's it. Deb says, you said a goofball to stop peeking? You need a high lumen light. That's why Lily is so beautiful. Her meat diet. Yeah, she has a really nice fur coat. Really nice. Yes, she looks lovely because she's eating healthy. She's eating all meats. I do ration it so that she doesn't get fat, but she's really pretty because she eats well. I mean, before she was on the all meat diet, Lily. Hello, Lily. For a farm dog, she is beautiful. Isn't that right, Lily? Isn't that right? Lily, sit. Lily, sit. Stay. Lily, stay. Hi, Lily. Good girl, Lily. And Maya says, looks really good on you. Thank you, Maya. I appreciate that. And Jill says, you need a kitty. I was talking about this earlier, but I'm not a big fan of farm cats. The reason, yes, they keep the mice down, but once they run out of mice, they start eating your baby bunnies. And since we breed bunnies, that's a bit of trouble. And then once if you're really good at keeping the cat away from the baby bunnies, they'll go eat all the ground nesting birds out in the fields. And I like my songbirds. I like my ground nesting birds. So while a cat can be good at keeping the mice away, they also keep everything else away. Cats are really, really good hunters. And Jill says, we sure like to tell you what you need to know. And Deb says, Lily could have her own YouTube channel to follow her around. There's another YouTube channel I follow and I hang out with lots. He was on here earlier. It's Apollo and Steven. It's Apollo and Steven. It's Apollo and Layla. The host, his name is Steven. But go check out Apollo and Layla on YouTube. They're really good people. Steven is fantastic. And Apollo and Layla are his two white German shepherds. And so that's exactly what he does. He's got a channel dedicated to his dogs. He's got like 46,000 subscribers. He live streams twice a day. Me and him, we talk back and forth. We also email each other and just throw ideas off each other and just chat about, all things YouTube. He's got a super wholesome community. He's a really good dude. So if you like hanging out with me, you'll like hanging out with Steven. It's Apollo and Layla. It's YouTube, Apollo and Layla. But another fantastic channel. Primarily about his dogs, but yeah, shares just good wholesome vibes in between. Well, guys, we're going to finish off this tea. So we're going to keep the stream going for 7 more minutes, maybe longer if it picks back up. But the crowd's slowing down a little bit, and we are at 2 hours. We just crossed 2 hours. So if you guys have any questions while it's nice and chill, feel free. Now's the time to ask because I'm able to engage. We're sitting down. I can do a very crisp and clear one-on-one. So if you guys have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to know, anything you're curious about, feel free to ask. Now's the time. Otherwise, I'm just going to start rambling. And you don't want me to ramble. Rambling initiated. Deb says, thank you for taking us out to bed down the animals. Deb, thanks for joining. Yeah, basically, putting the animals away is relatively easy for the most part because the chickens like to put themselves away. They like to feel safe. So they like to go into their safe spot, their hutch or in with the ducks. They kind of decides where they want to go. Sometimes they like to go hang out with the rabbits, but I feel like it's less safe over there. So I like to gather those ones and put them in with the rest of the chickens. They're probably safe there, but you know, it's just easier to do a head count when I know where they all are. And then the goat, I need to make sure I keep that one goat separate just in case she has her babies tonight, so that I know they're safe. She also probably appreciates having her own little space because, you know, she's very big. She's a little uncomfortable. She doesn't like rubbing against the other goats. And so she was pretty eager to go right in. Hester says, does your wife watch you on YouTube when she's away? I haven't seen her in the chat. So sometimes she will pop in, but she isn't right now. As far as I can tell, my wife is not here right now. Matthew says, I've always hated it when other people will nudge me at a wedding, saying, you're next. So I've started saying the same at funerals. You're next. Yeah, I don't have that problem. I know that's a joke, but I got married when I was 25-ish. That sounds right. 24, turning 25. So married relatively young. I've got 5 children. I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old, all 2 years apart, plus or minus a month. And Deb says, why do you use golf balls for the chickens? So the reason I put a couple golf balls in there is what happens is chickens will tend to pick at the eggs. They peck at them. It's just a habit of theirs. They will eat other eggs. So if you leave eggs in there long enough, they will eat them because they want to get the calcium and the nutrients back. But they just, sometimes, not all, but sometimes you get a chicken that tends to peck at eggs. That's why when they're roosting, when they're fertilized and they have eggs that are fertilized, the mom sits on them and she doesn't leave them. She sits on them, very rarely leaves them because she doesn't want other chickens coming and pecking at the eggs. She doesn't want predators getting at them. She protects them. So you put golf balls in there to break that habit. If it's very satisfying for a chicken to peck at an egg and then break it. And so you'll put golf balls in there so they peck at the golf ball and they realize it doesn't do anything. It just hurts their face and they eventually give up and they stop. So the golf balls are to deter them from pecking at eggs. It's fairly effective. These 2 eggs were fine. The other reason you want to collect the eggs before bed like that, like the 2 eggs I found in there, is because they like to sleep up in the nesting boxes. And if the eggs are there, they're going to be stepping around, shoving around. They can knock them over. They can break them. And so, you know, you want to eat them. You want to harvest them before they break them. Deb says, how do you keep hawks from hurting the chickens? Hawks like to zoom into chickens here. It hasn't been an issue. It definitely can be, but around my chicken area, I have a 6-foot fence and it's only about 40 yards long by like 15 yards wide. So it's not a very good landing strip. When a bird's flying in, it's not like the fence is 6 feet tall. So for the bird to come in, they got to come in over. It's just the tall fencing around the area does most of the work. Over the duck enclosure, the yard for the duck area, I've got a winter yard there. I have netting on the top, and so that stops them from getting in there. But as long as the I do let the chickens free range. So they will go into the forest, they will go into the fields, my lawn area. They're less safe, but it just hasn't been a problem. It could be a problem, it could become a problem, but it hasn't been one. And Abdulaziz, how you doing, buddy? So, I mean, there's always predators, there's always threats, but it's trying to balance your risk and reward ratio. Allowing the chickens to free range and live their best life, as of right now, because they haven't been getting attacked, seems to be working for us. And Matthew says, how does a hippie polygamist call its wives? 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. A shot at the Mississippians. And Mr. Pollard says, hey, Tex. How you doing, Pollard? If anyone has any questions or concerns, now is the time to ask. And Farzad says, how much that cowboy hat? This guy here was like between $250, $300. It's like a $300 hat. And Mr. Pallad says, let me see your rodeo buckle. I am wearing a belt, but it's not a rodeo buckle. It's just a normal buckle. It's just a normal buckle. If you want to see more, check me out on OnlyFans. Just kidding. But Mr. Pallad, Matthew says, how do you call a flooded hospital? Vegetable soup. Ouch. Mr. Pallad says, you need a haircut, cowboy. I got a haircut recently, my friend. This is cut. It's hard to go much shorter. I got a little bit here to play with, a little bit left on top to style. So I got a little I can play with, and the rest is nice and short. The beard is due for a trim. But otherwise, this is a haircut. And Hester says, do you name all of your animals? Good question, Hester. Yes, I do, with an asterisk. I name all of the animals that we will be keeping, not for food. So when I raise an animal for food, I don't name it. When I raise one to breed and to keep, I do name it. So I never named my pigs because I was planning to eat them, but my cows and stuff, which we use to breed, they all have names. I don't name all of the ducks because they all look the same and it's hard to tell which is which. I do name my roosters. My roosters are Horntail and Houndoom Pokemon. Yeah, all my goats have names. My cows all have names. My donkeys will have names. I don't have so many animals that I can't keep track. So yeah, I arguably do a better job at remembering my animal names than my own kids. Every once in a while I call the wrong, I flip them around all the time. But I usually am pretty good with the animals. Mr. Pallad says, do you know why cowboys wear belt buckles? Why do cowboys wear belt buckles, my friend? I feel like this is a setup for a joke. Deb says, I really like how you treat your animals. Thank you, Deb. Because we're a smaller scale homestead, we're really one-on-one with the animals. Farzat throwing out the rude comments. Chill, bro. Deb, we spend a lot of time with the animals. I'm out in the fields all day, all weekend kind of thing. When I first get a new animal, what I do is I board them up in the barn and I go out with them and spend hours and hours every day with them until what the goal is they can come and eat out of my hands. So once I get the animals coming to me when I first come to the barn door and just eating out of my hands, I know that they're not going to go anywhere. They've now associated me with treats, me with food. And so sometimes that takes a week, sometimes 2 weeks, but I'll go every single day into the barn and hang out with a new animal. Once I know that it's going to come to me, I can let it out, because then if it ever does get out of the fencing, I know I can get it back. If I go to an animal and it's running away from me and it's hiding in the corners and it doesn't want to come to me, I can't risk letting it out, because if it gets out of the fencing, it's gone. So we just take the time. We work with them every day until they learn to love us. And Farzat says, how about Legolas? That would be a BA animal. Legolas, the archer from Lord of the Rings. I'm more likely to go with just archer or elf than Legolas. Too hard to say. Maybe Orlando or Bloom, but probably not Legolas. Poppy says, OMG, you're not that Brian person, OnlyFans Club. Love, enjoy his straight up attitude, darlings. I think you're responding to my other joke. And Matthew says, I got other jokes, but they are like an egg on the top of a fence. I feel like that one went over my head if that was a joke itself. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. We are smashing the tea tonight. What else do we want to talk about, friends? Anything else? Is there any topics we haven't covered for tonight? I plan to live stream again tomorrow morning, and we'll go from there. I don't know if I'll get you guys to join me for breakfast, or we'll start the stream after breakfast. But once the sun comes out, we can spend a lot more time hanging out with the animals. During the middle of the day tomorrow, I'm going to go do some exploring in the forest. and see what I can find. I won't be exploring the forest on live stream because the cell surface is bad, but I do plan to do some video footage and find something cool in the forest. So that is the plan for tomorrow. Esther says, does your wife come on live streams with you sometimes? Yes, she does. Not always. She's struggling with some health issues lately. I'm not going to get too into it, but because of that, she has to go to bed earlier than I do often. So lately, she hasn't been on stream. But once she's feeling good again, we will get her back on live stream with us. And Farzet says, what you drinking? Pickle juice? It was just some tea, some herbal tea. Moto says, ever eat the random mushrooms you find in the woods? Actually, I do, but not random ones. I identify them first. This right here, these are some jars of polypore mushrooms, birch polypore. The really cool thing about this, I should be drinking this as tea, but it's too late now. We're going to be going to bed soon. But birch polypore, it grows on birch trees, dying or dead birch trees, and it is super good for you. It's an antibacterial, antifungal, anti-inflammatory mushroom. Can be consumed or ground up and applied as a poultice. It's really good for you. I've got some rose hips up here and some yarrow, just a bunch of different stuff. But we do have a few of our biggest YouTube videos are foraging videos, our biggest long form content. So we do spend a lot of time out in the woods. And Moto says, I knew it. You were right. Chris says, hi. Hey, Chris, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the chat. Welcome back, I think. And we'll hide that. Yeah, you know what? Most mushrooms are edible, but I always do my identification first. I know a lot of them already. You never eat a mushroom you don't know what it is, because some of them can kill you. Fun fact, I told the story earlier, but for those who are just here now and weren't here earlier, I let my intrusive thoughts win yesterday. So yesterday, I was standing here by this plant. This plant here is called a pothos plant, or a pothos plant. And the thing with this plant, I was standing here, sans cowboy hat, and this leaf was right here. And my son was in front of me and I was talking to him. And I looked at him, looked him in the eyes and said, I'm a giraffe. And I ate the leaf. My wife looked over as I was chewing the leaf and she's like, what are you doing? I proceeded to swallow the leaf. She looked at me and said, you know that's a pothos, right? You know that's poisonous? She starts Googling it and she's like, we need to call poison control. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I ate one leaf. She's like, it says right on here, even if you eat one leaf, you need poison control. She said, if I wake up with you beside me and you're dead in the morning, I am not going to be happy. And needless to say, I'm alive. It didn't kill me. But my stomach was so mad at me last night. It didn't hurt, but my stomach was just growling. So, moral of the story, don't eat pothos plants because they are poisonous. Honestly, tasted okay. She was more mad that I did it in front of my kids. She's like, what if a kid eats it? I'm like, you might survive because you're an adult, but what if a kid I'm like, it's on the roof, bro. But yeah, don't eat it. Not good for you. Not good for you at all. And KRP says, don't eat the ones that will kill you. Mini Jim says, I love big women. Deb says, do you have any chestnut trees? Not up here. I don't think they can grow this far north in Canada. It's too dang cold. The growing season is not very long. Farzat says, yo, eat wolfbane next time, bro. Won't that stop me from turning into a werewolf? We don't want to eat that. We don't want to eat that. We got Lily chilling here in front of our legs. She's just mooching. She's mooching for them head scratches. Hi, Lily. Hi, Lily. And does my turtle have free will? Does your turtle have free will? I don't know that in a world where God gives you free will, if he gives animals free will. It's a good question. It's a deep question. It's a deep, deep question. We need to consume a different kind of tea to get into the mindset to answer that question. It's an outside turtle. I don't think that makes a difference. And Matthew said, you missed my last comment. You know how a push-up bra is the same as a bag of chips? Once you open it up, you realize it is half empty. Yep. And Golden Arrow had said, Punta Gorda, Florida here. Yeah, Lily is just chilling. She is vying for my attention. I don't know if she wants me to put her back outside, or she's so used to sleeping outside where all the animals are. But it's starting to get cold outside, so I let her in, but I think she might want back out. Do you want back outside, Lily? Is that what you want? Do you want outside? Do you want to go back outside? That looks like a firm yes. She's like, yeah, man, there's foxes out there. I want to chase them. I want to go get the foxes. Okay, Lily, have fun. Have fun. Lily did not want to stay inside. Let's come back over here and sit down for another hot minute. Guys, I don't normally watch TV because I'm usually just too busy. But my wife and kids are not home, which means I don't have to do all the dishes. I don't have to put the kids to bed. I got disposable time. Can anyone recommend me a good show to start or a good movie to watch on Amazon Prime? What is a good Amazon Prime show or movie? Give me some recommendation, guys. I think when we end the live stream, we're going to go chill in bed and watch a movie. But someone needs to tell me what to watch. E.T., I got tricked by Ram Ranch once. I did. One of my early live streams, when I was live streaming from a computer, someone said, yo, you got to check out this banger song. This song is a banger. It's called Ram Ranch. And I was skeptical. I'm like, I know people troll on here. And so I clicked on it and muted it. And before playing it, I saw the view count. And I'm like, oh, it's legit. It's got millions of views. It's a legit song. And so then I played it. And I got about 10 seconds in. I didn't get in trouble. YouTube didn't get mad at me. But y'all be trolling. And Farzat says, most people are not that smart to have free will. And Matthew says, Yellowstone. Is it on Amazon Prime? I've heard a lot of people recommend Yellowstone. I definitely should watch Yellowstone. Deb says, the river runs through it. And Farzat says, Deadpool and Wolverine. Is Deadpool and Wolverine on Amazon Prime? If it is, I should watch that one. You guys are throwing out some good recommendations. Deb, what's The River Runs Through It? What is that one about? I've heard a lot of people talk good about Yellowstone. Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm sure it's kind of whatever to watch. You know, it's probably forgettable. But I've seen the other Deadpools, so why not? Darlene says, I love Yellowstone. I feel like that's got to be the winner, Matthew. Matthew, Darlene, I feel like that's the one I got to start. Golden Arrow says, have you ever watched the movie Into the Wild? I believe I have. Refresh me on what that one's about. Deb says, definitely watch Yellowstone. I'm going to have to check out these other ones. What's Into the Wild about? I feel like I've watched it. I've definitely heard the name. Yeah, feeling like the winners for tonight at least. We'll watch episode 1 of Yellowstone and report back tomorrow. You'll know if I like it when I tell you how many episodes I've watched. Haito Prox says, read the Bible. It's wild, super silly. I am a Christian. I do read the Bible. Maybe not as intently as I should and not as much as I should, but like I'm in a religious home. There's definitely Bibles galore in here. And it is a good story. There's lots, especially the Old Testament. The Old Testament, if you get out of Deuteronomy and stuff, Numbers, Leviticus, you get in some pretty wild stories. And Poppy says, it's the Canadian Rockies. Matthew says, definitely Into the Wild. It's a true story. Deb says, Into the Wild is being redone for a museum. Matthew says, in Alaska. Deb says, Into the Wild is an Alaskan movie. And Haito Proc says, I'm an atheist and I read it all the time. There's yeah, I'm not going to get too much into religious or philosophical debate, but it is a good story. And Golden Arrow says it's a true story about a young man who left on an adventure into the wild. I don't want to say too much, but it is a good one. Okay, guys, Into the Wild, and it's a movie. Should I watch Into the Wild or Yellowstone? Which one? Which one first? Which one? Which one first? Into the Wild or Yellowstone? Matthew, Deb, Golden Arrow. Tell me what I'm watching. Matthew's given a vote to Yellowstone. What do you think, Deb? What should we watch? Deb says Into the Wild. I enjoyed the book as well. And Golden Arrow, that means last vote goes to you. Into the Wild or Yellowstone? Ooh, Arian breaking the tie saying Yellowstone. Darlene saying Yellowstone. Guys, it sounds like Poppy, Yellowstone. Okay, guys, we're going to watch Yellowstone. I will put Into the Wild on my wish list. We will check that one out next. But we're going to end the stream. I'm going to get myself a plate of nachos, and I'm going to go start Yellowstone. I am going to go start it. So we're going to end this stream. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully, I don't get too hooked on it and stay up till 3 in the morning. I want to wake up early and get a good start to my day. So I appreciate the conversations. I appreciate you guys being here. For my returning viewers, thank you. I appreciate you as always. And for the new viewers, I appreciate you guys joining me. Thanks for having a great conversation. Thanks for sticking around. And we will chat again tomorrow. Like I said, we will be live streaming tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, probably a couple different times throughout the day. I'll probably live stream for an hour or two in the morning and an hour or two in the afternoon. More outside. I don't normally do these streams from in the house because you get a little bit too many trolls when you're just chilling. I like to be out there active and hanging out with the animals. So we will do a couple more streams outside tomorrow and Sunday and Monday. And I'll let you guys know. You guys will get the early sneak peek. If I do end up wandering in the forest and I find anything exciting, scary, or cool, I'll let you guys know about it. But for now, we are going to wrap this one up. Golden had said you can watch Into the Wild because it's just one movie. Yellowstone you can watch later because it's a lot of episodes. It's a good point. Matthew says, bye. See you later, alligator. Puppy says, I've only watched Yellowstone. Yogi Bear. Good night, guys. Take care, and we will chat again later.